What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. One Piece World Incarnation. 1WI. Chapter 1 Magical Fruit. August. Are you alright, stupid? Zhang Yang looked at the guy in front of him with a dazed look in his eyes. Isn't he watching TV at home? How did it appear here in the blink of an eye? And who is this guy in front of him? This standard mohawk hairstyle, and this beard, cosplay. Noisy. Just as he was thinking, a strange memory suddenly appeared in his mind. Marine Camp, Zephyr Admiral, August. IF ******* G time through. And it's his favorite world of One Piece. After a brief moment of panic, Zhang Yang felt an indescribably wonderful feeling in his heart. One Piece World is his favorite anime. Ox, are you alright? Why don't you talk? Sakazuki, you shot too hard. They are all colleagues, how can they make such a heavy hand? Sakazuki. Zhang Yang looked along the voice. A stern-faced boy was looking at him with his arms crossed. Yo, Sakazuki, I told you a long time ago, don't be so serious. Behind Sakazuki, a man with a wrinkled face like a monkey teased. Poseidon, who has the ability to shine fruit. Sakazuki, lava fruit ability user. These two people are one of the three strongest people in this marine training base. Both are Logia demon fruit power, the most powerful devil fruit among devil fruits. And the original owner of his body is also a demon fruit power, but it is indeed a Paramesha demon fruit power. Paramesha devil fruit, illusion fruit. The illusion fruit can transform any creature in the impression, bless yourself, and use their abilities. But because of fruit restrictions, how much strength can be exerted depends on the actual gap between the two sides. Imitators are just imitators after all, and it is impossible to surpass the real strong. Sakazuki folded his hands on his chest, his expression indifferent. Although he is still only a teenager, he already has the courage of a future marine marshal. When he was sparring with Oaks just now, what Oaks imitated was his lava fruit. But Oaks is too weak. In the end, the power displayed, let alone 90%, didn't even have 3 points of his. If Sakazuki's lava fruit is hotter than magma, the lava fruit ability transformed by Augustus is a hot red stone, hitting people. The result of the sparring was instant killing. It's not because the fruit ability is weak. In the final analysis, the owner of this body is too weak. If he hadn't been lucky enough to eat devil fruit, it would have been impossible to enter this elite training camp. What are you doing? A deep voice sounded from behind. Zephyr instructor. The person who came from behind looked like he was in his 30s or 40s, wearing a purple suit and a cloak of justice, with a purple hedgehog head and a rigid expression. The former Admiral Zephyr, now retired, serves as the instructor for this elite training camp. Seeing the instructor coming, all the gathered crowd dispersed. Ox, come with me. Zhang Yang followed Zephyr Admiral in a daze and came to an office. You fought Sakazuki. Zhang Yang didn't know what Zephyr Admiral meant by asking this, so he could only nod perfunctorily. Because you were specially hired without passing the assessment, many people will have opinions on you. Do you regret it now? No. Zhang Yang shook his head decisively. It's useless not to say regret, and besides, he is not the Oaks he used to be. The illusion fruit can't play a role in Oaks' hands. But he has the confidence to make this devil fruit bloom differently in his hands. Very good. Zephyr Admiral nodded in satisfaction. It was the unanimous opinion of Marine's top management to send Zhang Yang to the elite training camp. A demon fruit power that can imitate other people's fruit power at will, if it can be cultivated to the Admiral level. That is an Admiral level powerhouse who can use any devil fruit ability. How terrifying would an almighty fruit user without any flaws be able to freely use all devil fruit abilities? If he can be cultivated, it can be said that he must be the next marshal. Even Poseidon and Kizaru will be his stepping stones. But now it seems that the situation is not as good as expected. Augustus's strength is mediocre, and his performance after entering the elite training camp is only mediocre, with nothing to brag about. Training is even less hard work. Had great expectations not for his devil fruit abilities. Based on his current performance, he would have been expelled from the Marine Elite training camp long ago. Oh, maybe he didn't have this talent in the first place. Looking at the back of Zhang Yang leaving, Zephyr sighed. 1 month, give him another month at most. If, after a month, this is still the case, then he can only be sent out of the Marine Elite training camp. Augustus was exceptionally recruited into the elite training camp has caused dissatisfaction among many people. If he blindly connives and protects, then his life in the Marine Elite training camp will only be worse than it is now. For example, is Sakazuki's behavior really just his own decision this time? As an ability user of Logia Devil Fruit, Sakazuki has gathered a large number of supporters around him. Based on his understanding of Sakazuki's arrogant character, unless he is a pirate, Sakazuki would disdain to attack someone weaker than himself. That could only mean that something else was affecting him. The only ones who can influence him are the followers around him. What a hassle. After leaving Zephyr Admiral's office, Zhang Yang was on his way back. As soon as I came here, I was hated by a group of future marine elites. If I don't think of a way, I will definitely be excluded. The only way seems to be to become stronger. After all, those marines would reject him and be unhappy with him. It's just because he doesn't agree with his strength, and secondly because he came in through the back door. Inside Marine is not a place of integrity. There are too many people with privileges, he is not the first, nor will he be the last, he will be excluded just because of his strength. It's like a group of elites mixed with a piece of trash, no matter how you look at it, it's not pleasing to the eye. It seems that we should start from the fruit ability. The only thing that can make him stronger in the fastest time is devil fruit. The strength of the fruit's ability is related to the user's own body and spirit. Why also use the ability of lava fruit? Sakazuki's ability is a volcano, and his is a volcanic rock. It is because he is not as good as Sakazuki physically and mentally. This kind of basic thing is difficult to improve, but it is easy to enhance for him. Chapter 2 Monkey Drago. August, are you alright? In the room, a teenager with a gloomy face was sitting at the table reading a newspaper. Monkey Drago, the future leader of the Revolutionary Army, was called the most dangerous man in the world by the world government. Right now, he's just a gloomy Marine trainee. Father is Marine hero Vice Admiral Garp. He is the ability user of Logia Storm Fruit. In this Marine elite training camp, Dorag's strength ranks in the top 3, and his status is different. Dorag, who is roommate with Augustus, doesn't reject Zhang Yang like other Marines. Of course, there is no intersection at ordinary times. Zhang Yang glanced at the newspaper in Drago's hand. The headline news in the newspaper is that Celestial Dragons is playing in a certain country, and the minister of a certain country has offended Celestial Dragons with a word and has been executed. August, why do you think there are such things as Celestial Dragons in this world? Noticing Augustus' gaze, Drago said in a low tone. We have the same appearance and body, why do some people who are born noble can wantonly trample on the lives of others? Just because of one irrelevant sentence, the whole family will be executed. Drago's eyes were confused, he felt his faith was shaken, and his future was dark. Does he have to serve such a force in the future? Zhang Yang gave him a strange look. Was the future leader of the Revolutionary Army already thinking about this kind of problem at this time? Because the world is destined to be unequal. They have privilege, so they use their power to bully others. If you don't want that to happen, you're going to have to create a world where there's no privilege. Drago looked at Zhang Yang in shock. It seemed that he had never expected to hear such words from his mouth. He would ask Zhang Yang's opinion, entirely because of inner confusion, and wanted to find someone to listen to. As a result, Zhang Yang directly threw out a sentence to overthrow the Z government in the world. You must know that the authority of the world government Z is supreme in the hearts of all civilians. It's like the impression that ancient Chinese commoners had on the emperor. Although his face was full of shock, he didn't know why an indescribable excitement rose in his heart. In this way, his heart resonated. Deep in his confused heart, there seemed to be a ray of dawn that illuminated his heart. There are no privileges, all are equal. It turns out that you, Augustine, have the same ideals as me. The corner of Zhang Yang's mouth twitched. Looking at the excited face, it seems that he has found the revolutionary comrade Dorag. Did I say something? This guy is so excited that he looks like he's about to climax. Drago, who has always been questioned in his heart, seems to have found the feeling of being recognized at this time. Sure enough, there are still people who can understand him. He's not fighting alone, and there are sure to be people around the world who are oppressed by celestial dragons and want to fight back. It's just that they don't have this ability and strength. August, join me and go with me to overthrow this rotten world. Drago's tone was serious, and he looked at Zhang Yang with a serious face. FK me. Why did the topic suddenly change here? Overthrow the world government. Are you G kidding me? Zhang Yang was speechless. This is not the turbulent world that will be decades away. One Piece Luogia has not yet opened the era of great pirates. The authority of world government Z is still there, and no one dares to challenge this behemoth. Isn't it courting death to be a revolutionary army now? Seeing that Zhang Yang didn't speak, Drago felt that he was acquiescing. Excited to start discussing. What do you think our organization should be called? Revolutionary Army. Zhang Yang blurted out subconsciously. Revolutionary Army. Dorag was taken aback for a moment, carefully pondering the meaning of the word. Revolutionary Army. Revolution, whose life will be revolutionized. Of course it is the Z government in the world. Good name, so you have already thought of this. Drago looked at Zhang Yang with a face full of shock. The name was obviously not just remembered. Obviously premeditated. I didn't expect you, a guy with a simple and honest face, to be so ambitious deep down. Usually, he looks like a salted fish who doesn't want to turn over. Even he, who gets a long day and night, has never doubted it. This acting and the ability to pretend. It is simply scheming. He even suspected that Zhang Yang's strength was countless times more terrifying than what he showed. Pretend to be very timid and fearful, it may be ambition, or it may be because of some ulterior secret. But Drago doesn't care. As long as they have the same ideals as him, they are unswerving comrades in arms. Did this guy come up with something? Looking at Dorag with a shocked expression and an expression of a peerless old man, several veins popped out on Zhang Yang's forehead. Then the two of us will be the leaders of the Revolutionary Army. Although there are only two of us now, there will definitely be more like-minded partners joining us in the future. Dorag muttered to himself, and began to conceive the outline of the future development of the Revolutionary Army with a full face of excitement. Am I now the leader of the Revolutionary Army? Are you too casual? Unaware that Zhang Yang, who has been made into a conspirator by Drago, was a little speechless in his heart. If you don't know the plot, Zhang Yang felt that this kind of casual organization would be caught and wiped out by the world government in the next second. Zhang Yang opened his mouth, but Zhang Yang still didn't say any words of rejection. He was afraid that if he refused, this guy would give him poisonous milk to silence him. As the leader of the revolutionary army who will shake the foundation of the world Z government in the future, as long as Drago is not a fool, it is impossible for a person who knows his secret to live. If his dangerous thoughts are known to others, even if his father is Marshal Marine, it will be useless. The world government absolutely does not allow a man with such thoughts to live, let alone a Logia devil fruit-capable user. A greater threat than ordinary people. After a while, the excited Dorag handed the written note to Zhang Yang. Zhang Yang glanced over at the first glance, his face froze slightly. This schedule is like a joke. The first one is to win over those powerful countries to resist the World Z government together. Among other things, powerful countries have joined the World Z government, and they are the owners and enjoyers of power. To overthrow the reputation he has accumulated for hundreds of years. To achieve equality for all. Win them over, what do you think? What a talent. In order not to let himself be cheated to death, Zhang Yang felt that he should say something. Although do not understand. But there are too many cases in his mind. China's 5,000-year history can be summed up as a story of rebellion being rebelled and power changing. Speaking of rebellion and being a troublemaker, who is more experienced than our Chinese descendants? It's like building high walls, accumulating food and slowly becoming king, shooting a gun to change a place, and joining forces vertically and horizontally to encircle Wei and save Zhao. Although he doesn't understand, Zhang Yang can tell stories. Drago's eyes sparkled when he heard it, and when he looked at Zhang Yang's eyes, he was even more astonished. What is strategizing? The decisive victory is thousands of miles away. He didn't understand it before, but now he understands it. So this is the counselor. Is this what it feels like to have your IQ crushed? Sure enough, it is you, old Yinbi. Zhang Yang's saliva was dry, and then he found Drago who was looking at him with admiration. Do you understand now? Drago closed the notebook, like a primary school student, and raised his hand. That's why we now have to recruit talents, accumulate strength silently, and then look for opportunities to overthrow the world government Z. But how long will it take? It won't be long. Zhang Yang looked out the window. Some people can't stand the atrocities committed by the world government. Storm is coming. Do not. What awaits the Z government of the world will be a disaster like shaking the earth. Drago was full of doubts, but Zhang Yang remained silent. It's not that I don't want to say it, I just don't know how to say it. Do you want me to say that a few years later, there will be a man named Luo Jia who will start a new era? Chapter 3 Transformation. Red Fang. Inexplicably, he became the leader of the revolutionary army. Zhang Yang's mood was slightly complicated. If it was caught that he had something to do with Drago, then he would be done. Duo Lage's father is a marine hero. Even if he is caught, he may not necessarily die. He is different. As long as you are caught, the best end is to be sent to impel down. Life is a death row prisoner. He must become stronger, at least possess admiral-level strength, so that he can resist the world government. As for overthrowing the world government, don't think about it for now. The future 4 emperors put together is about the same. Don't think that the world government is too weak, it can stand in this world for hundreds of years. If there is no strength enough to suppress the entire world. With the urine of those celestial dragons, the world government would have been wiped out 800 times. 5 elders, marine, army, and CP troops. Any one of them is capable of fighting against one of the 4 emperors alone. It's hard to say who will win, but at least they have the capital to fight. Not to mention the mysterious Lord I am above the 5 elders. Hurry up and become stronger. Zhang Yang prepared a load weighing tens of kilograms for himself. The easiest way to improve your physical fitness is to squeeze your physical energy and train with weights, so that your body's ability to withstand it will become stronger quickly. With a weight of 30 kilograms tied to his body, Zhang Yang found it difficult to move. It took Zhang Yang half a day to barely adapt to the pressure. Began to speed up the pace tentatively. The consumption of physical strength is a bit fast, after all, it is such a heavy load when it comes up. Half an hour later, Zhang Yang, who was drenched in sweat and as tired as a dog, felt that his physical strength had reached its limit. Zhang Yang, who had been prepared for a long time, took out the cage that had been prepared for a long time. Having unlimited physical energy, becoming stronger is not a very simple matter. Zhang Yang took out a bound wild animal from the cage. Try Devil Fruit's abilities. When using the ability to transform fruit, one must imagine the appearance and power of the transformed person in one's mind. A man with green hair and blood-red eyes appeared in Zhang Yang's mind. Assassin Wu Luki World, Chia among the 7 top shadow assassins. Grandmaster Gorfine Dafa, which can absorb the power of the blood in the opponent's body to restore physical strength. The looming image of red teeth in my mind became more and more full and real. Zhang Yang felt a strange power surge in his body, which belonged to Chia's power. Although only less than 10% of the power. Pooh. Zhang Yang's mouth was opened exaggeratedly, and the crimson teeth bit fiercely on the beast's neck. Fishy sweet blood burst out from the mouth. The huge vitality contained in the blood poured into the body, and Zhang Yang felt his exhausted body regain vitality. Moreover, after absorbing the vitality in the blood of the beast, his physique seemed to have also strengthened a bit. Continue. The sun was setting. After a day of training, Zhang Yang felt that his physical strength had doubled. The effect of training only accounts for less than 1 floor, and the remaining 9 floors are all fed back from the blood demon Dafa. Although only a small part of the power can be retained every time the blood is absorbed, the effect is very obvious. Zhang Yang is very satisfied with this kind of efficiency. As long as there is enough time, it will be a matter of time before he catches up with Sakazuki. The reason for not continuing is because his body has reached the limit of strength strengthening. It takes some getting used to. Continue tomorrow. The next day, Zhang Yang was still practicing in that heavy body. It's much easier. With the improvement of physical fitness, the difficulty of training with weights of 20 to 30 kilograms has been greatly reduced. At the end of the day, Zhang Yang felt that his strength had improved a lot. Although it is not as exaggerated as doubled directly for the first time. But there are at least 70 to 80%. The stronger the strength, the slower the speed of improvement. It is not difficult to understand. After all, the stronger his strength, the less vitality contained in the blood of the same beast for him. Time flies, and half a month has passed in the blink of an eye. After these 2 weeks of high-intensity practice, Zhang Yang has been able to practice swinging a sword while standing under the waterfall with a 300-kilogram load. Even carrying these weights in daily life does not feel any weight. The reason why he didn't change to a heavier weight is because the one he was wearing was already the heaviest weight in the inventory of the marine training base. If he continued to increase the burden, it would affect his agility in fighting and training. The blood of ordinary beasts has no effect on me. Throw away a giant saber-toothed tiger just caught. This behemoth with a body size of more than 7 meters is one of the overlords in the deep forest outside the training base. Most of the elite marines in the training camp will walk around when they encounter this guy. The size and weight of the 7-meter-high body is no joke. Although the movements are a bit clumsy, the strength of this guy needs to be calculated in tons. If you get hit, an ordinary marine will be crippled even if it doesn't die. He met this guy when he was practicing in the forest 3 days ago, and when he first met, he was very arrogant and planned to eat him in one bite. After being beaten up by him, he became a lot more honest. He was locked up and drained of blood for 3 days, but Zhang Yang didn't bother to kill him. After all, it's not easy to grow up so big. The jungle overlord with a broken leg limped into the forest with his tail between his legs. This human being is simply a beast. He was caught and bled for 3 days. The saber-toothed tiger felt his body was hollowed out. The humans outside are terrible, and he will never come out again. I want to practice next, but the blood of ordinary beasts can no longer satisfy me. Zhang Yang clenched his fists. With his current physique, even if he didn't use the power of devil fruit, a random punch would have a force of nearly tens of thousands of kilograms. In the entire elite training camp, the only ones who dare to say that he is stronger than him are the 3 Logia demon fruit powers of Sakazuki, Dorag, and Pelusolino. The moral value of ordinary marine soldiers is 10 points, and that of elite marines is usually between 20 and 50. The most basic requirement for entering the elite training camp is that the power value exceeds 500. That is 50 times the combat power of ordinary marine soldiers. So everyone in the elite training camp is a genuine marine elite. Pick one at random, whether it is enough to be a school-level officer in the headquarters, or a colonel-level base commander in the 4 Seas branch is more than enough. In the entire elite training camp, there were less than 1,000 people participating in the training, and most of their power values hovered between 500 and 1,000. There will not be more than 100 people with a power value above 1,000. As for the 2,000, I am afraid there are not even 20. The power values of the 3 Logia demon fruit powers are all above 4,000. As for himself, Zhang Yang estimated that it should be more than 3,000, and the card is around 3,500. There is still a big gap between the 3 Logia demon fruit powers, but they are already very close. After all, power value doesn't mean everything. It's like Dorag's power value is 4,300, but in fact, if he really fights with a marine with the same power value. Unless the other person is also Logia's demon fruit power, it will be decided in minutes. Dao force value only detects pure physical strength. As for the extra abilities of Haki, 6 forms, and devil fruit, they are not counted. Sakazuki's punch power is 4,300 power. After using devil fruit, the punch power will remain the same, but the fist will be accompanied by thousands of degrees of high temperature. Can it be the same? Chapter 4 Marine 6 Styles. Analysis of Marine 6 Styles Training Methods. Zhang Yang held a somewhat worn-out book in his hand. According to Drago, it records the cultivation insights of his old man, and some not-so-perfect thoughts on the 6-style derivative skills. He found it by digging under the bed last night. Seeing that Zhang Yang was interested, I threw it to him casually. As for why he turned under the bed when he was free, Zhang Yang didn't bother to ask. That guy has been working on something mysteriously for the past 2 days. Sometimes I don't see anyone for a long time, and I sneak out at night while sleeping, and come back the next day with dark circles under my eyes. Although there was no evidence, Zhang Yang's intuition told him that this guy's busy business might have something to do with the Revolutionary Army. It is estimated that he is going to fool someone again. Zhang Yang didn't ask too much, anyway, he gave all the opinions he could give. He didn't have the ability to let him personally intervene in the Revolutionary Army. Don't look at him and Drago bragging about the same thing when they were bragging, but in fact it really made him do something practical, and he was also confused. The concepts he said were all recorded by his ears and eyes when he read historical novels, how could he understand them himself? With this ability, he was still a scumbag when he was in school. However, Dorag doesn't think so. The conversation half a month ago was like enlightenment, which made him suddenly enlightened. He has now completely regarded Zhang Yang as a guiding light on the dark road of the revolutionary army. Relying on the advanced rebellion ideas provided by Zhang Yang and his experience, Dorag directly skipped the exploration stage and summed up a detailed and effective plan capable of overthrowing the world government in all aspects. Saved countless hours. Of course, it will take decades of planning and preparation to actually realize this plan. But this point is not in a hurry, what they have most now is time. If you don't even have this kind of patience, how can you talk about overthrowing the world government? Iron body, shave, paper arts, moonwalk, tempest kick, gun fingers, and life returns. Zhang Yang flipped through the thin volume of cultivation secret skills in his hand. Marine 6 styles is a physical secret skill that can only be cultivated by general-level officers in Marine and Special CP departments in the world government. Due to the strict management of the 6 styles by the world government, it is rarely circulated outside. Drago's father is the Marine hero Garp, and he himself is a Logia Devil Fruit-capable user. If there is no accident, at least in the future, it will be Marine's top combat power, an Admiral-level powerhouse. Take a look at the 6-style secret book practice method in advance, who would not have a long-sighted opinion. In fact, most of the students in the Marine training camp have roughly mastered the use of some of the 6 styles. However, not everyone has a good father like Dorag, who can learn the 6 styles in more detail and systematically. Shave, step on the spot dozens of times in a row, and through the instantaneous burst of rebound, you can move as fast as teleportation. It can be popularized among officers at the general level, and the principle of Marine 6 styles is naturally not complicated. It can be said that as long as the body is strong enough, it is easy to master the 6 styles. He stepped on the spot more than 10 times in an instant, which Zhang Yang could easily do with his current superhuman physique. Zhang Yang just practiced his skills superficially, and he has already achieved 20 quick strikes and can move quickly within a range of 10 meters. Don't forget, he is still wearing a load of more than 300 kilograms. Next, you only need to practice continuously to let the body adapt proficiently, and the speed and distance of shaving will gradually increase. Among Marine 6 styles, shave, tempest kick, moonwalk, and gun finger are the easiest to master, while iron body and paper arts are slightly more difficult, and life return is the most difficult. The reason why it is so difficult is that to master the return of life, it is necessary to infuse consciousness into the body, internal organs, and hair, and perfectly control the cells of the whole body. Just the step of mobilizing the consciousness into the body can kill 90% of Marine who wants to learn life return. Consciousness is an intangible substance, just like hockey, which can only be experienced personally, and cannot be taught. Yes, no. There are Vice Admiral Garp's notes and practice insights in hand. Zhang Yang directly conjured up the figure of Vice Admiral Garp in his mind, and personally experienced the feeling of using the 6 styles. Unfortunately, the development of the fruit ability is not enough. We can only temporarily borrow power. If we can develop the fruit ability at a deeper level, maybe even the body can be manifested. Then the feeling will be more intuitive. Zhang Yang sighed. He has only just begun to control the illusion fruit, and can only transform characters in his mind to borrow part of his power. As for the direct materialization, transforming himself into the opponent, and controlling it together with blood and abilities, he needs to control devil fruit at a deeper level. The higher the degree of development of the fruit, the higher the degree of illusion. Of course, he is still him. It's just that certain characteristics of the body will move closer to the transformed person. How much power of the incarnation can be exerted depends on the upper limit of one's physical strength. Although only part of Garp's power has been transfigured, it is enough if it is only used to assist in learning the 6 styles. With Garp's power blessing, Zhang Yang's speed of learning the 6 styles has become very fast. It took 3 days to master the other 6 styles except paper arts, iron body and life return, and 2 days to learn paper arts and iron body. In the process of studying paper arts and iron body, Zhang Yang learned the method of using consciousness to mobilize blood and body. After that, it took less than a day to learn how to return life. The whole process is amazingly fast. Even a genius like Dorag with admiral qualifications took more than a month to master the 6 forms, and it took a full 3 months to master the return of life. To others it is a genius, but to him it is a younger brother. The next step is to continue to strengthen the body. The Marines in the elite training camp are all real elites selected from various Marine bases, and do not need to be taught by instructors like those recruits. The usual daily practice is almost all stalking, and each practice according to their own preferences. But a simple test is done every passing month. Another week will be the time for the monthly power test. If he wants to be a blockbuster, he must show the ability to shock everyone during the test. Marine is a very realistic place, where the weak eat the strong and the strong are respected, and only the strong can get respect and everything they want. The elite training camp will assign a position to each student after graduation. The better the performance in the training camp, the higher the position that will be assigned in the end. If he can graduate with the strength of the first in the training camp, that means at least the Commodore of Naval Headquarters, and possibly even the rank of Rear Admiral of Naval Headquarters. It just needs to go one step further to be the real top of Marine. Once Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters, he has the ability to influence the future of Marine. He has the right to observe and cast a vote for all decisions that can affect the future of Marine. For example, Shichibukai, although his current strength can rank among the top 5 in the Marine training camp. But it is not enough to beat Sakazuki with an absolute advantage and become the chief of this session. Logia demon fruit power, none of them are easy to deal with. Each one placed in naval headquarters can be called a monster. If you want to defeat these monsters, you can only become a monster more terrifying than them. Already on board this thief ship of the Revolutionary Army, his future enemy will be the entire world government. So he has to become stronger and stronger than anyone else. The blood of ordinary beasts can't make me stronger. You can try to capture some Poseidon beasts. For those 100-meter tall behemoths, how much more life force would they contain than ordinary beasts? If you have a lot of money, please give it to me _Z_. Chapter 5 Gravity Training. It's time to change the weight. With his current physique, he can easily lift tens of thousands of caddies. I carry a load of 300 kilograms with me every day, and I don't feel any pressure at all. Zhang Yang thought about how to bring more pressure without affecting his flexibility. Too complicated, definitely not. Otherwise, it will affect his agility in battle. But it doesn't work if you don't change it. It is human nature to love leisure and hate work. Excessive relaxation will make the body lazy unconsciously, and strong pressure will make the human body burst into a stronger potential in the limit. Squeezing the potential of the body, combined with the blood demon Dafa to absorb the vitality of others, is more efficient than pure blood demon Dafa to absorb blood. Want to gain power beyond ordinary people? First of all, it is necessary to pay the unbearable pain for ordinary people. He is now strong, and he has put in no less effort than anyone else. There are several people like him in this marine base, who even lie on the bed wearing a 300-kilogram load when they sleep. When I slept at night, my shoulders and thighs were worn by the hard iron body and bleed. Speaking of stress, Zhang Yang rubbed his chin with thoughtful eyes. Gravity should work too, if the strong gravity is evenly distributed to every corner and every cell of the whole body. The cultivation effect of uniform pressure should be better than that of simply wearing weights. And speaking of gravity, the first thing Zhang Yang thought of was Fujitora. An admiral-level powerhouse who uses gravity so superbly that he can even drop meteorites from the sky. If you superimpose gravity on yourself, it is equivalent to resisting the surrounding world every moment. Zhang Yang began to recall the appearance of Fujitora in his mind. The illusion fruit does not need the other person's real appearance to transform a person. The illusion in illusion refers to the illusion with roots, not the illusion produced out of thin air. At least a certain basis is required. It is impossible to casually think of a god who created everything without knowing the ability and name of this god. How to change? Change your head. If there is the appearance of the person being transformed and more detailed information, the difficulty of transforming will be reduced. If the understanding of the illusionist is blank, and you just heard about it by chance, then the difficulty of illusion will be doubled. If the person being transformed does not exist at all, it is impossible to transform it. This existence can be present or future. The image of Fujitora became clearer in my mind. Unremarkable in appearance, sloppy in rustic clothes, squinting his eyes, with a naive and humble appearance. It's a little different from what I remember. It's not surprising. After all, one is seen from anime, and the other is a real person. The details will be different, and the power of Devil Fruit will correct this gap autonomously. Devil Fruit's power at the level of the law is sometimes more mysterious than imagined. However, there are also many limitations to this power. Will be restrained, afraid of sea water. Is this the power of Gravity Fruit? Zhang Yang squinted his eyes. There is a strange force in his body affecting him. He seems to freely influence and even distort the underlying laws of the surrounding area through his free control of this power. It is said to be a fruit of gravity, but it seems that there are some forces related to the manipulation of gravity and repulsion. Rather than the name Gravity Fruit, perhaps it should be called Force Field Fruit. Pick up a pebble from the ground. Buckle between index finger and thumb. Gravity plus a little repulsion. Boom. The stone broke through the air, tearing a pale trace. The terrifying sonic boom sounded like a thunderbolt exploding in his ears, making Zhang Yang's ears a little deaf. Crash. The flying stone skimmed over the sea, and the sea parted on both sides, revealing a ravine 5 or 6 meters wide. Spread all the way forward. A few hundred meters away, a reef standing on the sea exploded. Fear. Zhang Yang was stunned inwardly. The power value of this blow was at least 4,000 or more. Infinitely magnified gravity plus repulsion, the combined power of the two is simply incomprehensible. Try double the gravity first. Gravity is different from weight bearing. The distortion of gravity is the basic law of the body and the world. It will be strongly squeezed from the inside out, including the internal organs. It is more perfect than the simple weight-bearing effect, but it is also more dangerous. If one doesn't pay attention, one's internal organs may be compressed to the point of bursting. As soon as the thought moved, gravity added to the body. Zhang Yang felt as if several thousand caddies were being hung on his body, and the ubiquitous gravity squeezed his body from all directions. The visceral moment carried a terrifying pressure. Is acceptable. Zhang Yang's breathing was a little heavy, and the feeling of deepening gravity was even more terrifying than imagined. It's just double the gravity, and the pressure brought to him is equivalent to carrying a heavy object weighing 1,000 caddies. The next is 5 times. The change of gravity distorted the surrounding space. Zhang Yang staggered, and the ground under his feet began to crack. 5 times the gravity is superimposed on each other, and the pulling force of the world comes from all directions. The final effect is no less than directly bearing a load of tens of thousands of caddies. It was difficult to breathe, and the eyes were dark. It felt like the first time he was wearing weights. It's hard to move even a little. This level is just right. Zhang Yang stood up reluctantly, and he could feel his internal organs moaning unbearably under the strong squeeze of gravity. There was a bloody smell in his throat, and his internal organs and body were operating in an overloaded state under the pressure of gravity. The oppression of gravity brings huge damage to the body. But if the body can't bear it, that's right. Only when you are close to death can you realize the true meaning of life. Only when the body reaches its limit can it grow within the limit. This is his purpose. The next thing is to get the blood of the Sea Kings, and then slowly adapt to the pressure on the body. This point is very simple. There are thousands of elite Marines participating in the training in the elite training camp. Their food intake is 2 to 5 times that of normal people. The amount of meat consumed just for meals every day is an astronomical figure. Relying on external transportation to maintain supplies would consume too much manpower. Naval headquarters will not allow such extravagant and wasteful things to happen, so there are teams dedicated to catching Sea Kings in the elite training camp. Not to mention a little Sea King's blood, even if he dragged away a giant Sea King's, no one would say anything. After all, the Sea Kings captured in the camp every day could not be eaten up. There is too much to spare. Zhang Yang came under a waterfall and started his daily physical exercise. He also tentatively transformed into Fujitora's stick knife. The realization of physical objects is a more advanced application of the illusion fruit, which requires a deeper level of development of the potential of the illusion fruit. Anyway, I'm idle now, so I can develop devil fruit's power while practicing. By the way, I can also practice hockey. As the future Marine Admiral, Fujitora holds armament hockey and observation hockey of extremely high realm. Although it is not possible to directly share Fujitora's perception and experience of hockey. But by using hockey frequently, maybe he can awaken his own hockey in advance by analogy. This opportunity to use hockey in advance is not available to everyone. Get used to the use of hockey. It will undoubtedly be easier when awakening hockey. Chapter 6 Conqueror's Awakening. August, why are you here so late? Hundreds of people gathered in the square, and more people came over one after another. Looking at Zhang Yang who was late, Drago's tone was a bit puzzled. This guy is usually busy, so why is he still like this today? Don't you know that today is the time for the power test? It was delayed for a while when something happened, but it hasn't started anyway. Zhang Yang shook his head, and looked at Zephyr Admiral standing there with his hands folded in the center of the square. This flamboyant purple suit is indeed quite eye-catching. It simply stands out from the crowd. What about you? I've been so busy these days that I can't see anyone. What are you up to? Zhang Yang looked at Drago, who was the real busy person compared to him. I couldn't see anyone for half a month, and I didn't know what I was busy with. Although the control of the elite training camp is very free and loose, if you leave the elite training camp without authorization, if you are caught, you will be confined. This guy is also bold and fat. I have found several like-minded comrades like you. Dorgo lowered his voice, and his tone was a little relieved. Some time ago, he saw in the newspaper several fugitives from the country who were wanted for offending the celestial dragons. So I tentatively contacted them, and after a few days of conversations, these people have become part of the revolutionary army, replacing him to develop forces secretly. Although there are only a few people and their strengths are uneven, this is a good start for him. This also strengthened Drago's inner thoughts. Sure enough, there are still many people in this world who, like him, cannot understand the atrocities committed by the world government celestial dragons. They are not numb, but because they don't have the strength to resist and fight, so they endure the humiliation and bear the burden. The world government controls the most powerful armed force in the world. Even if a country wants to resist, it will be reduced to the ground in an instant. Buster Call is a powerful weapon used by the world government to deter those who are restless. Once there is an idea of resistance, the admiral of headquarters will usher in the siege and extermination. Therefore, those people who are oppressed by the world government can only live in a dark corner with a forced face and a smile. They are not oblivious to pain and hatred. Just waiting for an opportunity to overthrow the world government. As long as this opportunity arises, no matter how slim it is, countless people will follow and fight for it. Looking at the strong self-confidence and indescribable sense of mission on Drago's face, Zhang Yang was slightly taken aback. An indescribable complex smile appeared on his face. It's no wonder that he will become a man who will be regarded as an enemy by the entire world government in the future. Dorag, you will succeed. August, not me, but all of us will succeed. Dorag corrected. Every oppressed person, every person who dreams of overthrowing the tyranny and slavery of the world government, will be a part of them in the future. They weren't the first, and they certainly won't be the last. The flame of revolution has been ignited, like a ray of dawn in the darkness, and it is impossible to extinguish it. They are pioneers, guides, and what they create is a belief. Even if they fail, there will be successors who will inherit their legacy, and their will never be extinguished. Continue this ideal without limit, until one day, overthrow the behemoth of the world government. Inheritance is immortal, freedom is unyielding, this kind of will is more precious than anything else. Drago thought so, and told himself firmly. The firm confidence seemed to be touched by something. An indescribable power that had been brewing for a long time erupted from Drago's body and spread out. There was silence in the noisy square. All eyes turned to the rear. That overwhelming will, like a bright light in the dark night, dispelled everything. The oppression from the level of spiritual will makes people seem to be facing the torrent of history, irresistible and irresistible. In an instant, more than half of the Marine elite fell to the ground with their eyes white. This kind of oppression from the level of spiritual will has nothing to do with strength, only people with strong will can barely stand under this kind of impact. Under the overlord, the weak retreat. It was as if the brain had been hit hard. Zhang Yang's mind was blank, and a steady stream of mental oppression hit his brain. Dimly, Zhang Yang felt his body fall backwards. Am I still just a weak person in my heart? A messy room was reflected in Zhang Yang's eyes. In the narrow room, there was a computer desk. In front of the table, a man in sloppy clothes was holding a bucket of instant noodles and was eating with relish. This is what he used to be. A memory flashed in Zhang Yang's eyes. It turns out that deep down in my heart, I've been longing for a peaceful life. I've taken all of this as a dream that won't wake up. His hard work, including his desperation. In fact, it is all a kind of escape, using pain and torture to numb your brain, forget the fear in your heart, and prevent yourself from thinking about it. He regarded this place as a dream, and kept avoiding it, refusing to accept this reality. He has been afraid all the time, afraid that he will die in this chaotic world. How can a person who dare not even face reality withstand the impact of conquerors? Zhang Yang smiled wryly, staring at the sky with dull eyes, his thoughts were confused. He saw the astonished Dorag reaching out to him, trying to hold him. He saw the surprised and disappointed look of Zephyr Admiral in the distance. He saw the elite Marines who fell to the ground and lost their sanity one by one. These people were all losers just like him. Even if they have great strength, they can't change their spiritual cowardice. Do I want to be like these people too? The corners of his mouth were raised slightly, and a mockery flashed in his eyes. Yes, death is scary. But compared to death, I hate kneeling down to others even more. Zhang Yang's body that fell backwards burst out with infinite strength in an instant, his back was as straight as a steel gun, and his unconcealable sharpness seemed to pierce the sky. A power that was just about to move in his body erupted completely, and this power carried a panic that ruled the world and watched the world with disdain. There is no Dorag's kind of stalwart that is constantly flowing in the face of the torrent of history and has an indelible inheritance. There is no such kind of inclusiveness, freedom and unyielding tolerance. But there is an extra kind of domineering, rebellious and unbridled domineering. Plop, plop, the air froze for a moment. The domineering aura was like a rampaging wild beast, and ripples appeared in the air. The red and black aura visible to the naked eye smashed through the defenses in his heart. The hundreds of marine elites who were barely standing still were stunned, their knees trembled, and they couldn't help but kneel down on the ground, their shoulders shrugged weakly, and they passed out. The face of an emperor cannot be looked directly at. Kneel down. A group of marine elites knelt down on the ground, which was very spectacular. In the entire square, in the blink of an eye, there were less than 100 people left barely holding on. Bearing the psychic impact of two conquerors' hockey intertwined. In this world, there are countless people who can make me fall. The smile on Zhang Yang's face gradually became presumptuous, and there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. But no one can bring me to my knees. Nobody. After kneeling for a lifetime, since he stood up, no one could make him kneel down. Chapter 7. This era will be named after me. Hockey at Conquerors. It's terrible. According to the legend, there is no one in a million talents, but two of them appeared at the same time. Pelusolino smacked his lips. Sakazuki raised his eyebrows with his arms crossed. His eyes were calm, and he didn't pay attention to the Conqueror's hockey that suddenly broke out from the two of them. The one in a million kingship, Conqueror's hockey, can only scare the weak. It has no effect on a strong man like him. He, Sakazuki, doesn't like such fancy things. The Conqueror's hockey, which had covered half of the island, lasted for nearly a minute before slowly dissipating. Conqueror's hockey is the most special one among Conqueror's hockey. It is also the one with the least number of awakenings in Conqueror's hockey. Only one person in a million has the potential to awaken the Conqueror's hockey. And Conqueror's hockey, unlike observation hockey and armament hockey, can grow through training. Overlord hockey's growth method is determined by a person's life experience, spirit and will. And courage is something that Zhang Yang lacks most. He doesn't pay attention to the world government, what else can make him afraid? The quality of this batch of students is worse than expected. Zephyr looked at the corpses, all over the floor, very dissatisfied. Can't even withstand the impact of Conqueror's hockey, is this the level of Marines elite now? What a depravity. But I have to admit that Dorag and Zhang Yang's Conquerors is really strong enough to shock him. This level of Conquerors is enough to have an impact on the powerhouse of the Vice Admiral level. Zephyr glanced at the square where less than 100 students were still standing. To be able to withstand this level of Conquerors, although the aptitude of these students is not as good as Augustus and Dorag's Admiral level potential geniuses. But it's more than enough to be a naval headquarters mainstay in the future. These people, in the next 20 years, there will be at least 50 rear admirals and more than 10 vice admirals. As for the combat strength of the admiral level, I am afraid there are only 4. 3 Logia demon fruit power, if nothing else, the seat of admiral has already been reserved. As for Augustus, Zephyr was originally not optimistic about this student. But now, he couldn't understand this student a little bit. Can a person who can awaken Conqueror's hockey, who has the qualifications of a king, be a piece of trash waiting to die? Because of yesterday's episode, the power test was interrupted and could only be postponed to the next day. Sure enough, a person with strength will be respected no matter where he is. Zhang Yang, who came to the square early in the morning. He keenly felt the eyes of the Marines around him looking at him with a sense of awe that he had never seen before. At the same place, when the time went back to a day ago, these people still looked at him with disgust and rejection. Seems to shut him out of the circle entirely. But now, this estrangement has quietly disappeared. Here, strength is everything. He has already proven his strength. Zhang Yang's footsteps paused slightly, looking at the figure standing in front of him. Now you finally look a little bit better. Sakazuki crossed his arms and looked at Zhang Yang with a scrutiny. There was a condescending tone in the tone of the warning. But how far can you go with just hockey from conquerors? That doesn't need you to care about it. Zhang Yang glanced at Sakazuki casually. He didn't have much ability, but he was quite lenient. Oh, you seem very confident. Sakazuki smiled coldly, turned around and left. Then I'll be waiting to see your performance in a while, Augustus. No anger, not even taking this little episode to heart. Will the giant be angry because of the clamor of the ants? Taking the initiative to say hello is just a whim of interest. Sakazuki, this guy, can we win over? Drago, who didn't know when he appeared, looked at Sakazuki's back, his tone eager to try. Dismiss this idea as soon as possible. Zhang Yang cast a glance at Drago. His tone was the same as usual, but it was more calm and free and easy, and less taboo and awe. After what happened yesterday, his state of mind has changed drastically. What is the leader of the Revolutionary Army? What is the protagonist admiral? In the same era, he will be the strongest in this era. Where is he weaker than others? Effort, diligent, vision, talent, or devil fruit? Neither. Pick one at random. He is the handful standing at the top of the pyramid. Why is he weaker than others? What reason does he have to be weaker than others? The trajectory of fate, the aura of the protagonist, the great secret treasure, Raftel, are all bullshit. He wants this era to be named after him. What One Piece, what three admirals are all bullshit, stand aside for me. It's okay to live in peace, but if I get in his way, the protagonist will die for me. Drago didn't feel the change in Zhang Yang. From the beginning to the end, he regarded Zhang Yang as a leader on the road of revolution. In his eyes, Zhang Yang is equivalent to half a teacher. Even if he was taught harshly, he would not feel that there was anything wrong, and he might accept it humbly and write down the kind guidance of the leader of the Revolutionary Army. However, he was quite concerned about Zhang Yang's words. Why not develop Sakazuki, an admiral-level genius, booking the Logia demon fruit power for the future admiral position? If they can be pulled into their camp, then they will have a combat power equivalent to 3 admiral levels in the future. Even if the world government cannot be overthrown, at least there is capital to fight against the world government. Sakazuki is an outright extremist. His idea of absolute justice is against our idea of overthrowing the world government. Zhang Yang narrowed his eyes slightly and explained. Sakazuki's character is too extreme. He is like a dog, he will bite any opponent of the opposing camp. He does not have his own bottom line and persistence like Fujitora and Aokiji. The absolute justice he insists on is to characterize anyone who threatens the world government as evil. And then completely erase it at any cost. From his point of view, this is understandable, but this kind of person is too extreme. He is destined to be a good dog that bites people, but this dog already has an owner. If you try to get closer, you will only be bitten by him and covered in blood. This guy's will and belief are too firm, so firm that it is impossible to walk with them. Even if the master of the world government turned his back on him, he would only be buried with this decaying behemoth. What he is loyal to is that the world government is that Marine is the justice in his heart, not someone. People with firm beliefs can die for their own ideals. This kind of people is terrible, and Sakazuki happens to be such people. Drago nodded knowingly. In this way, Sakazuki seems to be this kind of person. If there is a chance, kill him. A chill flashed across Zhang Yang's eyes. For them, keeping Sakazuki would be a disaster. The longer the delay, the more harmful the kind. If it can be obliterated, it must be eliminated as soon as possible. Only in this way can his threat be minimized. However, although Sakazuki can't do it, Pelusolino can try it, but you can't try it in a normal way. Then how do we try? Dorag looked puzzled. This guy has a slippery personality. He will examine the time, and if he is intimidating, he agrees to join the Revolutionary Army 1 second. Once he is safe, he will sell you to the world government in the next second, so I want to pull him on board. Just need a vote for the certificate. Zhang Yang glanced at the young but anxious Pelusolino. Don't look at this monkey who is smiling and easy to talk, it is actually the most difficult to deal with. If you want to catch this sneaky, slippery, fish-loving guy on a thief boat, you need a certificate that will prevent him from turning back for the rest of his life, and he can only follow the Revolutionary Army all the way to the black. If you have Wawa's recommendation ticket, please give it away. It's available every day. If you don't give it away, you won't get it for nothing _Z angle _ if you have more Wawa and you're in a good mood, you'll add more. Chapter 8 Strength Test. Under the sun, Pelusolino, basking in the sun and spitting bubbles, suddenly trembled all over his body. In the weather with a high temperature of more than 30 degrees, I felt a chill for no reason. He looked around suspiciously, and his eyes were on Zhang Yang and Drago who were standing together in the crowd. Seeing the warm and kind smiles from the two unfamiliar guys at him, Pelusolino was a little puzzled. Does he know these two guys well? Returning a slightly wretched smile, it must have been an illusion just now. Pelusolino changed to another place and continued to fish. This big sun, what kind of test is the test? This Zephyr Admiral is really boring. Normally, He should be lying on a chair and sleeping at this time. Trouble. All gather, divide into 10 teams according to the queue, and accept the test. A deep voice echoed in the square, and Zephyr Admiral, dressed in a flamboyant purple suit, appeared beside Pelusolino at some point. Boom. He glanced blankly at Pelusolino, who was dozing off. Lazy, not a bit marine. A kick covering hockey went straight through. Puff. Kicked nothing. It's really scary. Teacher Zephyr's temper is still so grumpy. The golden light particles condensed into a human form in the distance, and Pelusolino, who was wearing sunglasses, spoke lazily and slowly. Start testing. Zephyr snorted coldly. No matter how he looked at this guy, he was not pleasing to the eye. He hated this lazy guy the most in the entire elite training camp. Thinking that the future Marine Admiral will have this kind of virtue, he is full of anger. Pelusolino did not dare to overdo it. If he really offended the old man, he would be the one to be unlucky. In terms of strength, he is really not an opponent of Zephyr, a veteran Marine Admiral. Although Logia Devil Fruit is powerful, it cannot represent everything. Marine hero Vice Admiral Garp, who has never eaten any devil fruit, who dares to underestimate it with just a pair of iron fists. The Overlord of the Sea, the Cross Pirates, is awesome. What about now? Gone. Let this old man dismantle it 10 years ago. Never mind your bells and whistles, Logia Paramesha Zone, just a word under that old man. Death to labor and capital. 10 years can defeat Cross, and Garp, who is in his prime, is now almost at the peak of his life. Before his strength faded, no one in the entire Marine was stronger than him. As Garp's friend of the same era, Admiral Zephyr's strength can also be regarded as terrifying. Nearly 1,000 people lined up in 10 rows, standing in front of 10 instruments used to detect the power value. Each of these instruments has a delicate electronic watch. During the test, the tester needs to break out his whole body strength to hit the instrument, and the instrument will judge the strength of the person based on the internal tremors. Of course, Dao strength is for reference only, and it only corresponds to pure physical strength, not actual strength. This kind of stuff is not accurate for demon fruit power. It's like a person with 400 power points. One takes Zone Devil Fruit, and one punch can burst out with double the power. While another took Logia Devil Fruit, there may not be a significant increase in strength. But if you really want to fight, 10 ordinary Zone Demon Fruit power can't beat 1 Logia Demon Fruit power. So this thing is purely used to judge physical strength, and has no other use. However, physical strength does determine a person's strength to a certain extent. The stronger your physique, the stronger your ability to withstand Devil Fruit. Boom, boom, boom. Power 800, next. Power 1200, next. Dorag, power 4400. Dorag's power has grown stronger again. There were whispers behind him, and pairs of odd eyes looked at Drago. Without using Devil Fruit's ability, and using pure 6-style physical skills to achieve this level of power, Drago's strength is simply terrifying. Truly the son of Vice Admiral Garp. Sakazuki, power 4350. Porosalino, power 4300. Marine, who was staring at the instrument, was obviously new here, looking at the digital voice on the instrument trembling. I even wondered if the power detection device was broken. Otherwise, how could there be 3 monsters with power exceeding 4,000 in a row? Next. Zhang Yang stepped out of the queue, looked at the dazed Marine next to the instrument, and waved. You, take a few steps back. Quote. Marine didn't know why, but he took a few steps back wisely. He couldn't offend anyone here. Then he looked at Zhang Yang suspiciously. Is it enough? Almost. Zhang Yang nodded, stretched his wrist, and then slowly took off the weight on his body. A load of 300 kilograms hit the ground. A piece of the bluestone paved ground collapsed directly. Hiss. There was a sound of gasping for air. The Marine elites standing behind Zhang Yang looked like they had seen a ghost. Is this guy a monster? He was carrying such a heavy thing on his body. Anyone can lift a load of 300 kilograms, but being able to lift it and carrying it on your body all the time are completely different things. It's like a person who can lift 100 caddies. But is it possible for him to carry 100 caddies on his back every day? Let alone 100 kilograms, even 10 kilograms will feel strenuous. Pretentious. Sakazuki snorted coldly, a mockery flashed in his eyes. A load of 300 kilograms is of no use to people of their strength. Just carrying this kind of thing has already barely become this kind of appearance. The evaluation of Zhang Yang in my heart has dropped a notch again. Augustus, Conqueror's hockey, that's all. Sure enough, it's a lot easier. Zhang Yang exhaled lightly, feeling indescribably relaxed. The load of 300 kilograms under gravity brought him no less pressure than carrying a hill every day. But the pain is worth it. Absorb the exuberant vitality contained in the blood of a large number of sea kings, coupled with the ravages of gravity on the body that it endured all the time. He didn't even remove gravity from his body while he was sleeping. In just a few days, he was on the verge of life and death countless times. His body, under the persecution of life and death brought about by constantly squeezing potential, broke through the limit time and time again. Breaking through the shackles of the body again and again. If it was another person, he would be dead by now. But under this torment, he persisted for 7 whole days. Every day his strength is growing exponentially. The gravitational force he can withstand has also changed from the initial 5 times the gravitational force to the current 20 times the gravitational force. How strong is he now? Even he himself doesn't know. But in pure strength and physical competition, he is confident that he will not lose to anyone present except Admiral Zephyr. Release the gravity limit. The backlog of gravity on the body was instantly lifted. Zhang Yang took a deep breath, and the surrounding air flowed back, and a part of it was instantly evacuated. The heart was beating violently, and the lungs felt like being torn apart. Air flowed through the whole body along with the blood, and the muscles on Zhang Yang's body swelled as if they were inflated. A layer of blood flames ignited from his body. Chapter X6 Form Derivative Techniques. 6-Style Derivative Technique. Overlord Body. 6 styles created by combining the two 6-style principles of Iron Body and Life Guidance. The principle of Iron Body is to tighten the muscles of the whole body and control the blood flow to make the body as hard as iron, which is generally used for defense. When using Iron Body, the body needs to stand still and cannot move. The Overlord Body, which is fused with the return of life, can speed up the blood flow, overload the body, and burst out a comprehensive strength that is several times that of itself. The faster the blood flow, the stronger the burst of power. Without the defect that the Iron Body cannot move, the side effect is that if the internal organs of the body are not strong enough, I am afraid that I will die on the spot. This is 6 styles created by Zhang Yang specially for himself. The breath of life and the blood energy produced by burning blood blended together, and a thin layer of blood-colored air condensed on Zhang Yang's body. Like a flame burning. Overlord Body. 1 Speed. Boom. The ground under your feet is cracked. Blast forward with a punch. The arm trembled at an extremely fast speed, waving phantoms all over the sky. All the phantoms merged together in the next second. A huge fist shadow landed on the power detection device. Overlord Chong 12 combos. It combines the 4 mysteries of gun finger, shaving, tempest kick, and life return. By quickly punching the air to vibrate the air, the power of 12 times is superimposed to generate a powerful shock wave. Click. Cracks like dense spider webs appeared on the force detection device made of special metal. The numbers on the instrument instantly jumped from 0 to 1000, 2000, 3000. In the blink of an eye, the number on the instrument has exceeded 4000, surpassed 6000, and finally stayed at the number 9999. After a few seconds of stalemate, the overwhelmed machine was bombarded and shattered by the fist shadow that contained strong trembling power. Broken parts and debris were flying all over the sky. Monster. It actually directly smashed the power detection device. The crowd was in an uproar, and everyone looked like they had seen a ghost. In the distance, Sakazuki's pupils contracted. It's terrible. Pelusolino swallowed. No one knew better than him how hard the force detection device was. Even if he uses the fruit ability, he may not be able to hit more than 9000 power points with a full blow. This monster was smashed into pieces with one punch. Fruit ability, or pure physical skills. Zephyr Admiral looked stunned. One punch shattered the power detection device. If it was pure physique, it would be a bit too terrifying. The power of this punch has almost touched the bottom line of Admiral level combat power. Even if it doesn't reach the quasi-Admiral level, it is at least a Vice Admiral level of combat power. In just 1 month, from the bottom of a training camp to a combat power comparable to Vice Admiral. The rate of progress is astonishing. The leaps and bounds are indescribable. Why is there such a big change? Zephyr Admiral looked at the figure of Zhang Yang, first awakened Conqueror's Haki, and now smashed the power detection device. What happened to his student? Oh, is that so? Okay, I see. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Click. Putting down the phone bug in his hand, Kong sat on the upper seat, gently rubbing his forehead. What's wrong? Garp, who was leaning on a chair drinking tea, glanced at Marshal Kong, a little confused. Zephyr just told me that one of the first batch of students in the training camp broke the power detection device and needs to be replaced. Oh, is it Sakazuki, Dorag, or Pelusolino? Sengoku leaned up slightly. It can smash the power detection device. This level of power is estimated to have touched the bottom line of Admiral level combat power. Even those old Vice Admirals may not be able to do it. When will there be such students in the elite training camp? It can't be Drago. That kid is still a few years away from smashing the power detection device. Knowing a son is like a father. Garp has a fairly good understanding of Drago's strength. Although he ate Logia devil fruit, such things as strength cannot be achieved overnight. In order to become a real strong man, in addition to the precipitation of time, it also needs the tempering of blood and fire. Break through your limits in battle after battle. It's the kid you sent in before. Kong shook his head. To be honest, he himself was also surprised that a recruit who had not been sent to the elite training camp for a long time could actually improve his strength by leaps and bounds to such a degree in such a short period of time. It's almost inexplicable. So it's that brat, Garp suddenly realized. He still has a little impression of Zhang Yang. If that strange devil fruit ability can be developed to ultimate, he must be a top admiral level powerhouse. He never expected that this kid would grow up so fast. First awakened Conqueror's Haki with Drago, and then smashed the power detection device. In the entire training camp, it can be said that there is no one in the limelight, and there is a vague meaning of aspiring to the chief position. I originally thought that his character was a little weak, and I didn't expect too much, but I didn't expect that there was an unexpected surprise. Said Sengoku. Augustus was something he unwittingly dug out of naval headquarters. But his impression of Augustus is not too optimistic. He has potential and qualifications, but his mentality is a bit too cowardly. Even if such a person is lucky enough to become a strong man, it is impossible for him to achieve much. Without the mentality of looking down on the world, even if you have the strength, you will not be able to suppress this huge world. But the current situation seems to be a bit of a face-off. A cowardly person can't awaken the Conqueror's Haki and blow up the power detection device. Students of the first batch of elite training camp, the second stage of training should start soon, right? Kong suddenly remembered something and asked. Just next month. Sengoku nodded. He was more concerned about this aspect. Not only because he is Admiral of Naval Headquarters, but also because he is old friends with Zephyr. It is more because Kong, who is currently training him, vaguely has the idea of training him as the future successor of Martial Marine. Sengoku is not an idiot, so he naturally needs to learn more about this aspect and work hard so that he can take over the position of Marshal in the future. The first stage of training in the elite training camp, including physical fitness and 6 styles. And the second stage of practice has already begun to formally contact the complete 6 style in Haki. Probably the best students will be selected from the training base, and they will be given more detailed teaching in batches. Then throw it out to practice, and after accumulating achievements, raise the rank a little bit. It was also out of the idea of taking care of those old Marines. After all, even if a boss is airborne, even if he doesn't say anything, he will feel a little uncomfortable in his heart. But if the boss has enough achievements and climbed up through formal channels, then no one can say anything. After all, Marine is a realistic place that respects strength. After graduation, these people will be the mainstay of Marine suppression of the world in the next 20 years. Grow up quickly. Sengoku sighed. Today's Marine can be said to be the weakest period in the past century. Following the retirement of the previous Admiral. Admiral Zephyr retires, Vice Admiral Garp refuses to promote Admiral. Although Marine's current potential strength is not worse than any previous class, it is still worse. But on the bright side, Naval Headquarters has only one Marshal and one Admiral left at the top. The deterrence against the 4 Seas has been greatly reduced. Several Admiral successors must be trained as soon as possible, so that Marine can continue to deter these restless guys. Otherwise, some ambitious people from all over the world will inevitably take the opportunity to make trouble. Although it can't make any waves, it will also make people feel headaches and troubles. Let Zephyr speed things up. Kong couldn't do it any better. Following the Cross Pirates, Grand Line has several new forces emerging. The recently famous Whitebeard, the ambitious Golden Lion, the Lonely Rider, Burndi. Now that Marine has accumulated hundreds of years of prestige, it can still barely suppress the world. But at most 10 years, if there is no one who can succeed Admiral, those restless careerists will feel that Marine has declined. By then, the first signs of unrest could be imagined. If you think about suppressing it again, it will become very troublesome, and you may even ask for aid from the world government in the end. It would be even better if the problem could be solved without alarming the world government. Chapter 10 Haki Training, Headquarters Commodore. Starting today, you will carry out the second phase of elite training with me. Zephyr Admiral looked at the group of puzzled and excited young people in front of him. There was satisfaction in his eyes. Everyone here is a true elite selected from thousands of miles around the world in the Grand Line. It can be said that if a meteorite capable of killing everyone falls on this island at this time, that was definitely an unprecedented catastrophe for Marine. If these people die, then the next 20 years of Marine will have a lean and yellow era. The high-end top-level combat power creates faults. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is a cramp and a broken bone. Therefore, the location of the elite training camp is a Marine high-level secret that only a very small number of people can know. I think you all have a rough understanding of Marine 6 styles. Next, I will guide you to practice the complete Marine 6 styles. Zephyr crossed his arms and said, among the 100 people selected, except for the 4 fruit-capable users whose combat strength exceeded the normal level, the rest of them had only been exposed to some of the Marine 6 styles training methods. So Zephyr will start with the most basic 6 styles. As an Admiral-level powerhouse of Naval Headquarters, he has already stood at the pinnacle of the world's top combat power. He has his own unique understanding of Marine 6 styles. From the shallower to the deeper, the profound meaning and principles of the 6 styles are explained step by step. And some simple and useful techniques when using 6 forms. These skills are summed up and honed little by little in practice, and they can save lives at critical moments. Even Zhang Yang, who has already learned the 6 styles of Grandmaster, feels that he has gained a lot. I already have some ideas about the further development of the 6 style-derived mysteries, but I still need continuous practice to perfect this idea. It was as simple as teaching the Marine 6 styles practice method for half a month. The selected more than 100 people are all elites in Marine, and they already have a foundation in this area. After understanding the principle of Marine 6 styles, they can easily master some of Marine 6 styles. From the 15th day, a group of people were taken to a very primitive forest. The howls and growls of the beasts were endless. Next, I'm going to give you something called Haki. Haki, even if you haven't seen it, you should be familiar with it. Haki is divided into conquerors. Haki, who has the qualification of the king, and can shock or stun the enemy by its own vigor, can improve the defense and attack power and can touch the entity of the Lodia, fruit ability, armed color. Haki, knowledge color. Haki, that can predict the opponent's next move and position. Haki of conquerors cannot be trained to get this talent innately, only 1 in a million may awaken it. Glancing at Zhang Yang and Drago in the crowd, Zephyr Admiral talked eloquently. And now the first thing I want to give you is the knowledgeable Haki. In the battle between the strong, it is difficult to keep up with the opponent's movements with pure eyesight, and observation hockey is to predict the enemy's attack in advance by sensing the surrounding breath, and even some talented people in the legend can use their knowledge to hockey, hear things that ordinary people can't hear, predict the future, but this kind of high-level observation hockey is even rarer than Conqueror's hockey. After Zephyr Admiral glanced at the crowd, Poseidon was leaning against a tree and lounging. Poseidon, attack me as quickly as you can. Zephyr Admiral slowly closed his eyes and turned his body away. It's scary. Mr. Zephyr wants to show me observation hockey. Poseidon, who was wearing sunglasses, slowly took off his glasses. Bew. The body turned into golden light particles, and Setsuna suddenly appeared behind Zephyr Admiral. Unreserved kick to the back. Speed is power. The speed of light is faster than a Setsuna. The speed is very fast, but your mind and body can't keep up with the speed of reaction. The arm wrapped in a layer of jet black metallic luster caught Poseidon's kick. Poseidon, I told you a long time ago that you rely too much on fruits. Boom. Grabbing Poseidon's calf, he threw it aside casually, hitting countless big trees. The whole time, Zephyr kept his eyes tightly shut. This is observation hockey, through the perception of the surrounding breath, to predict the attack from the enemy in advance, especially the attack of the explosive enemy. Zephyr explained the main points of practicing observation hockey, pointing to the forest ahead. A total of 10 roads covered by bushes loomed. These 10 roads are full of all kinds of traps and beasts. Blindfold all of them, and choose one of these roads to the end. Now, let's get started. On the calm sea, a warship sailed far away. It took 3 months to master the armed color and knowledge color. This hockey is really difficult to control. A layer of invisible power permeated the hands, and with a thought, a black-red metallic luster covered the hands. After more than 3 months of Six style and hockey practice, he has now fully mastered the power of hockey. And in naval headquarters 7 days ago, Marshal Kong personally conferred the title and became the highest officer of this fleet. A true naval headquarters commodore. And when he mastered the two-color hockey and successfully graduated from the elite training camp, others were still working hard to master the observation hockey. Drago and Sakazuki, who entered the country the fastest, only passed the first half of the trial road. Stuck in the progress of the second half of the trial road. It takes at least 1.5 to 2 years to master 2 kinds of hockey. In the past 2 years, Zhang Yang is very confident that he can leave these former classmates behind. A monster. Looking at the endless ocean, Zhang Yang raised the corners of his mouth wantonly. Thinking about it so far, he still clearly remembers Zephyr Admiral's expression of shock and disbelief after he awakened and controlled hockey more than 2 months ago. But this is not something incomprehensible. During his daily practice, he would let his body remember and become familiar with the power of the illusionist. During the period when he transformed into Fujitora for gravity training, he had already initially adapted to hockey's power. After a series of systematic training in the elite training camp, the awakening of hockey is only a matter of course. First officer, haven't you found it yet? Report Augustus Commodore. No trace of the Red Jack pirates has been found yet. The adjutant with the rank of colonel gave a military salute, and his accent was like a dramatic recitation performance. Zhang Yang didn't care either. His Klarer adjutant came from a drama family, but when he was young, his family suffered a catastrophe, and his parents were all killed by pirates. He chose to give up his family business and join Marine for revenge. Although the combat power is average, he is at the bottom of the colonels in the headquarters, but he is very good at inferring and sorting out information, and he is a political talent. However, based on the information from the headquarters, it can be deduced that the target of the Red Jack pirates should be Gaxi Island. If the information is correct, according to the speed of the Red Jack pirates, they should be in the waters nearby. As that's so, Zhang Yang slowly got up from the sun chair, the Marine's cape with the logo of justice engraved on the back fluttered in a sea breeze. The slow tone was a little lazy. It's the first time I go out to perform a mission during the inspection period. I can't let those old guys in the headquarters down. A big pirate with a bounty of 120 million. A flash of thunder pervaded Zhang Yang's eyes, and his earlobes extended to his chest and abdomen. Behind Zhang Yang, a circle of thunder drums with 3 hooks of jade appeared, and the light in his hand was condensed, and a stick made of pure gold emerged. The observation hockey, as vast as the sea, surged out, covering thousands of miles of sea area. Observation hockey. Hard net. Chapter 11 I am the rule. Shu Pagoda, how long will it take to get to Joshi Island? It's almost there, Captain, don't worry. The navigator who was sailing had a helpless tone. Within an hour, their captain had asked this question countless times. Something's not right. I've had a very bad feeling in my heart since this morning, as if something bad is going to happen. Red Jack is a middle-aged fat man over 2.2 meters tall. He was wearing a red vest with bare breasts, and there were crisscrossing gunshot wounds and knife marks on his chest. This is the medal left by him when he fought against the enemy when he was young. To be able to go from an unknown person in the world to the current bounty of over 100 million, Red Jack has experienced hundreds of thousands of fights, paying the price with one hand and one leg. A metal wrist hook was inlaid on the broken left wrist. His right foot was cut off to the knee and replaced with a prosthetic wooden stick with a wide top and a narrow bottom. Compared with his ferocious appearance, the cruel and bloody methods can make children stop crying. Captain, you think too much. How could something bad happen? Our travel routes are all random, not to mention whether Marine can find us. Even if they know us, they will go to Joshi Island next, the ocean is so big. How can they find our travel route? By the time they found us, we would have already left. Makes sense. Red Jack nodded, his frown gradually loosening. Although there was still some unspeakable uneasiness in my heart, what the navigator said made sense. Even if Marine knew that their purpose was to go to Gaxi Island. Such a big ocean, unless you are very unlucky, it is impossible to meet them. It's nothing if you touch it. Their reputation as the Red Jack pirates was earned. There are not 1 or 2 Marines who have been slaughtered. He even took the initiative to invade a Marine sub-base all over the world and snatched a warship. Maybe I'm thinking too much. Red Jack forgot about it in a blink of an eye. Captain, our harvest on an island is not small. At this time, the first officer on the ship came from behind, his face full of joy. The stolen treasure and Bailey together exceed 150 million Bailey, and even if it is sold on the black market, there will be an income of 100 million Bailey. What about casualties? The corner of Red Jack's mouth raised slightly, and suddenly remembered something, his face became slightly gloomy. Quote. The damage was heavy, and more than 30 brothers died. The island we attacked before hides an armed force with excellent equipment. Damn it. A ruthless look flashed in Red Jack's eyes, and all the good mood was ruined by this news. If it weren't for that group of untouchables running fast, they would have killed them all, and they dared to resist. These brothers are all elites who fought with him all the way, and they actually lost more than 30 people there. But it doesn't matter. The next island is Gaxi, which is the base camp of pirates. As long as you have money, there are many people who will work hard for me. We'll be safe there. Red Jack has a relaxed expression, and he is not at all afraid that Marine will dare to make a move there. Gaxi Island is a well-known pirate stronghold in the Grand Line, where countless pirates trade on the black market. Just throwing a stone can kill 3 or 5 pirates with a bounty of tens of millions. It can be said that the chaos is extremely chaotic, and the number of pirates who die there every day exceeds 1,000, which can be called a marine restricted area. Unless Admiral from Naval Headquarters made a move, even Vice Admiral would not dare to act presumptuously there. Otherwise, you will definitely be surrounded by hundreds of pirates and besieged to death. Hey, Captain, the weather here seems a bit strange. The navigator looked up at the sky, his expression became slightly dignified. The originally clear sky was covered by a thick layer of thunderclouds at some point, the dull thunderstorm roared, and there was a sense of tranquility and depression before the storm. What's wrong? Red Jack looked up at the dark sky, but didn't feel anything strange. The climate of the Grand Line is changeable. In that special area, there are even weird seasons intertwined with spring, summer, autumn and winter. It is very common for the sky to be clear one second, and rainstorm and hail the next second. There are also Jedi like Calm Belt who don't even have a breeze all year round. It's just a storm, so there's nothing strange about it. The air humidity here is average, and it stands to reason that it is impossible to rain. The navigator took out an instrument for testing the humidity of the air. Also, I haven't heard that the weather around Gaxi Island is changeable. At the same time, it was hundreds of miles away from the sea. Zhang Yang, whose body is filled with endless thunderstorms, is like a giant, floating in the sky with a pair of awe-inspiring eyes. The surrounding debris floats in the air under the influence of electromagnetic force. Zilla. The left hand turned into endless lightning and charged into the void, and a pair of eyes that shone with lightning stared indifferently. A slow-moving pirate ship is reflected in the spreading sense of knowledge. Except, God's punishment. Boom. In the wirelessly spreading thundercloud, thousands of thunderbolts condensed in the cloud, turning into a sky-reaching thunderbolt and crashing down. What is this? Lightning. With horrified screams, the pirate ship was engulfed by endless flashes of lightning. That is, what? The warship fell into a deathly silence. Hundreds of miles away, the sky-reaching thunder column connecting the sky and the earth is dazzling. Even if it is hundreds of miles away, you can still feel the violent power. This is miracle. Power as stalwart as a god. Zhang Yang, who fell from the sky, stepped on the deck and walked down from the second floor. The warship turned to 3 o'clock and went about 100 kilometers to collect the spoils. At the same time, report to the headquarters that the Red Jack pirates have been taken by our army. All destroyed. Then, Master Commodore, are you going to return to the headquarters now? The adjutant lowered his head slightly, not daring to look directly at Zhang Yang. His respectful tone was filled with never-before-seen awe. The entire warship was shrouded in an invisible aura, silent like a cicada. Zhang Yang, who was standing in front of his dormitory, paused slightly, his side face couldn't see his emotions clearly, and he glanced slightly at his adjutant. Kral, do you know where Gaxi Island is? No. Gaxi's expression changed slightly, and he probably guessed what Zhang Yang was thinking. After collecting the loot, turn around and go to Joshi Island. However, this is a bit against the rules. If the headquarters asks us to return. Before Kral finished speaking, an indescribable oppressive force suddenly emerged and permeated the entire cabin. That domineering coercion was so appalling that it made people want to faint. Raquel felt like a prehistoric beast pressed its claws on his neck, and the sharp claws had already stretched out. As long as he said a wrong sentence, his throat would be bitten open. Zhang Yang, with a faint smile on his lips, glanced at the sweaty adjutant. Are you teaching me how to do things? I remember I said that my voice is the only rule on this ship, so if the headquarters asks, you should know how to reply, right? Raquel wiped the cold sweat off his brow with a difficult tone. I know, the warship has a problem and needs to be temporarily stopped for maintenance. Don't you understand it well? Don't be nervous. I'm not a devil. Follow me and you won't regret it. The smile on Zhang Yang's face disappeared slightly. What I hate the most in my life is the person who betrays me. If you do something wrong, I will let you know that sometimes, death is actually a kind of happiness. Looking at the back of Zhang Yang leaving, Raquel wiped the cold sweat from his head. This man gave him even more pressure than when facing Sengoku Admiral. It was horrific. Chapter 12 Rear Admiral. Trash. Carry Rear Admiral. We found a destroyed pirate ship. According to the clues at the scene, it was suspected to be destroyed by thunder. Oh, they were destroyed by the thunder. These pirates are really pitiful. Have you found out their identities? Lying on a chair with a swimsuit girl in his arms, Carry Rear Admiral, who was eating grapes, straightened up slightly. This kind of merit for nothing is not something that can be encountered every day. Although they have all been turned into coke, judging from their physical characteristics, they seem to be the Red Jack pirates with a bounty of 120 million, and... The adjutant paused for a moment, looking at the charming woman lying in Carry Rear Admiral's arms. Although Naval Headquarters has clear regulations, people other than Marines, especially women, are not allowed to be brought onto the warship during sailing missions. However, if the boss insists on doing this, others can only pretend that they didn't see it. You can report it, but if you are caught, in the days to come, prepare to rush to the forefront every time you start a war with pirates. Do the hardest work, suffer the most tedious crimes, and become the kind of tool person who has no achievements. As for the boss who was reported, at most he was reprimanded and his salary was deducted for several months. This is really a painless punishment. Which officer at the Marine General level is living on dead wages, and no one has any means of making money? Protection fees are collected in the sea area, the dirty ones collude with pirates, and the black-hearted ones directly wear pirate clothes and go to islands to pretend to be pirates and rob. The most important thing is that people don't care about camouflage. They wear casual clothes and drive warships. If I say I am a pirate, then I am a pirate. How dare you refute it? Wash up in the cabin first and wait for me. Reluctantly, the woman turned and walked into the cabin, and Carry Rear Admiral took a sip of red wine. Say it. We found a lot of treasures in the cabin, all scattered together, conservatively estimated, worth 300 million berries. Puff. Carry Rear Admiral took a sip of red wine. How many? 300 million Baileys. Tread. Carry Rear Admiral. A warship is approaching in the distance. Boom boom boom. August Commodore. Come in. Commodore, a little accident happened. Raquel walked in frightened. Needless to say, Zhang Yang's eyes were slightly cold, and he casually grabbed the cloak of justice hanging beside the bed. His observation hockey has already sensed what is happening outside the ship. There is really someone who is not afraid of death, and dares to intervene halfway and rob him of his things. Around the abandoned pirate ship, two warships confronted each other. Call out your supreme officer to meet me. Carry Rear Admiral stood on the bow of the ship with a haughty expression, casually looking at the opposite warship. On the pirate ship, Marines are moving their treasures to the warship. Marine on the Zhang Yang warship watched this scene, and dared not speak out. The division of ranks in the Marine is strict, and committing the following is a serious mistake. If caught, confinement and demotion are the lightest punishment. The highest officer of the opposite warship is a Rear Admiral, and it is the Rear Admiral of the headquarters, and their officer rank is only Commodore level. Although there is only one level difference, the status is very different. Tread. The sound of low footsteps sounded from behind, and the invisible aura spread like substance. Overbearing. Majesty. Look down on everything. Just like the lion overlord on the grassland, the king of all beasts, exuding his majesty unscrupulously. Absolute sovereignty over the territory. The crowded crowd on the warship parted involuntarily, leaving a path for one person to pass through. Wearing a Marine general's cloak on his shoulders, the man with a reckless temperament walked slowly at a moderate pace. The spine is straight and the sword eyebrows are high, like a spear piercing the sky. Wherever they passed, thousands of people bowed their heads and kept silent like cicadas. I heard, are you looking for me? Zhang Yang stepped to the bow of the ship, raised his chin slightly, and looked indifferently at the Marines who were carrying the treasure. There was a smile on the corner of his mouth, which was indescribably cold. You want to take my spoils without the consent of my master, it's a bit out of order, right? This vicious pirate has been hunted down by Rear Admiral for a long time, and he was killed in a big battle just now. You said you killed it. You need to show evidence, Commodore. Carry Rear Admiral said with a half smile, deliberately emphasizing the word Commodore. The underlying meaning is, I am Rear Admiral, you are Commodore, don't say if you killed it. Even if it is, at this time, you should take the credit and make a good boss. Although Zhang Yang's age and position did make him very jealous, in the past, even if such a young Commodore did not make friends, he would not offend him. But, the treasure of 300 million berries is really too tempting. Carry Rear Admiral pondered in his mind for a moment, his eyes became firm, this treasure must be taken. Even if he offends a Commodore with unlimited potential, he is not without background. Even if this young Commodore is promoted to Vice Admiral, or even Admiral in the future, how many years will it take? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, he had already retired by then. Dignified Vice Admiral, can he still entangle with his retired headquarters Rear Admiral for a little dispute from decades ago? Is that so? Zhang Yang slightly closed his eyelids, looking at the deck, with a bright smile on his face, showing no emotion or anger. just watched helplessly as the other party moved all the treasures onto the warship. Carry Rear Admiral was overjoyed. Secretly said a wise man. Knowing that facing him with a Rear Admiral has no way to resist, tearing the face is not good for everyone, so I can only choose to compromise and make friends. Isn't that what smart people are? This Rear Admiral is on duty, and I still have important things to do, so I will take my leave first. If I can meet you at the headquarters if I have time, I will treat you to a drink. Earning 300 million Baileys for nothing, Carry Rear Admiral was in a good mood, and even the way he looked at Zhang Yang became more pleasing to the eye. The fully loaded warship turned around and sailed slowly. August Commodore, let them go like this. We can report to the headquarters. Zhang Yang interrupted Raquel with a wave of his hand, and the corner of his mouth curled up in a cold arc. Let's go. Do you really think my things are so easy to get? The undulating sea freezes in an instant. The black and red hockey, like the substance, swept forward overwhelmingly. Thump, thump. On the slow-moving warship, all the Marines fell to their knees on the ground under the impact of Conqueror's hockey with blank eyes, losing their minds. The majesty of the Emperor, those who face it directly, sin. Report to the headquarters. Naval Headquarters. Rear Admiral colluded with pirates to amass wealth. During the transaction, we broke through and took the initiative to attack. Our army had no choice but to counterattack. Pirates and Marine, all surrendered. Zhang Yang spoke indifferently, and the cold voice made the expressions of the group of Marines behind him change wildly. Didn't you understand? That warship colluded with pirates to plunder civilians, and was smashed by us, so they didn't fire me. Raquel, who was glanced at by Zhang Yang, trembled all over, turned around and kicked the gunner next to him hard. I like smart people. Zhang Yang gave him an appreciative look. Boom boom boom. The artillery spit out and blasted straight at the warship ahead. You dare. The sound of fury came from the warship. A figure stepped on the six-style moonwalk and leapt towards Zhang Yang's warship. There was a look of disbelief on Carry Rear Admiral's furious face. This guy, dared to take the initiative to attack him. Doesn't he know the consequences of doing so? The headquarters Rear Admiral. Zhang Yang smiled coldly. A round of Guyu Taiko floating behind him was ups and downs, metal sticks emerged from his hands, and he struck the Taiko drums on his shoulders. 6 million volts. Brontosaurus. Thunder roared. Amidst the sharp thunderstorm, a dazzling blue thunder dragon swam forward. Boom. Amidst the blazing thunder, a scorched black corpse fell from midair. Crash. The body smashed into the sea caused a wave of spray. It's just trash. With such strength, dare to rob him. Who gave you the guts? Life and death things. Chapter 13. Start layout. Kill colleagues. It is a big taboo in the Marine, and if caught, at least you will be put in the Marine prison. But Zhang Yang is not worried that he will be punished. Naval Headquarters will punish him for a mere Rear Admiral. A future powerhouse with Admiral qualifications. What a joke. If so, Marine would not be Marine. Even things like recruiting pirates to form Shichibukai can be done, Marine, or world government. He doesn't care about the life and death of a mere Rear Admiral officer. Compared with these, they value the stability of the four seas and their own rights, the right to rule the four seas. Not to mention that he killed a Rear Admiral who was full of bad deeds and only knew how to collect money. If this kind of guy hadn't been backed by someone in the headquarters, in terms of strength and qualifications, he wouldn't be qualified to be a Rear Admiral in the headquarters. Zhang Yang only needs to give a step, and no one will embarrass him in this kind of matter. Even the guy behind Carry Rear Admiral. A dead person, a dead money-making tool, is worthless. Only a fool would make enemies over a dead man and a future admiral. Moreover, dead people cannot speak. Board the ship and see if there are any survivors. Zhang Yang glanced at his adjutant. This smart one would understand what he meant. Yes. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of Raquel's mouth. The thief ship has already boarded, and it is impossible to think about it any longer. It was he who ordered the firing just now, whether he was coerced or lured, this is a fact. If the department really wants to pursue the case, the most unlucky one is not Zhang Yang, but him. If even Zhang Yang doesn't keep him, a colonel with no background is the best scapegoat. Zhang Yang can completely push all the things on him and let him take all the responsibilities. Therefore, he must now tie himself to Zhang Yang's thief ship. Everyone board the ship and check to see if anyone is still alive. Once found, kill them on the spot. These are all vicious Marines colluding with pirates and sinners who endanger peace. To sympathize with them is to sympathize with sinners and to oppose Marine. Raquel put a hat on directly. He looked dangerously at a group of Marines who were unwilling and did not dare to refute. He has already boarded the pirate ship. If one of these people counts as one, don't even try to run away. If he kills his colleagues, he will really be discovered. If he dies, everyone will die together. Those who do not board the ship are also dead. Half an hour later, the destroyed warship sank to the bottom of the sea together with the pirate ship. Since the corpses and traces are destroyed, of course there should be no trace left behind. August Commodore, we have found a lot of treasures from 2 ships. There are probably 2 batches. The larger pile is the legacy of the Red Jack pirates, worth 300 million Baileys. In addition, we also found a devil fruit. Oh, devil fruit. Zhang Yang's casual expression changed slightly. He didn't expect that there would be a surprise this time. What kind of fruit is it? Just know it's zone. Zone. Zhang Yang squinted his eyes. If it was a strong zone fruit, it would be pretty good. If it is a phantom beast, it would be even better. Although he can't eat it himself, he is a man who wants to rebel. He needs a large amount of devil fruit to cultivate a faction loyal to him. So even if you give him 10,000 devil fruits, it's not too much. Take half of the treasure from the treasure and divide it according to the position. Half. Commodore, it's actually not that much use. Raquel's face was full of surprise. Half of the treasure worth 300 million Baileys would be 150 million Baileys. Take them out and divide them according to their positions, and everyone gets hundreds of thousands. When had he ever seen such a generous boss? It was the first time that Carrie Rear Admiral was able to spend 1/5 of it, let alone half of it. I don't want to say what I said a second time. Go and execute the order, Adjutant. Zhang Yang is not interested in money at all. If you want a horse to run, you have to feed the horse first. Everyone knows this simple truth. Taking out half of the treasure is a lot, but Zhang Yang doesn't care. While letting people work hard for you, you don't want to pay for it, and you just talk beautifully. What are you thinking? Nobody is a fool. He is very short of money now. He needs money to cultivate his own power, and he also needs money to manage people up and down to do things for him. However, if he wants to make money, there are many ways. What he needs most now is not money, but people. People have power, and with power, is it not easy to make money? Moreover, he himself has no interest in things like money. Bailey, to put it bluntly, is just something printed on worthless paper. What is valuable is not him himself, but the meaning contained in him. As long as the rule of the world government is overthrown, not to mention money, the whole world is his. As for the idea of the equality of all men in the Revolutionary Army. Equality. Hey, is there really such a thing as fairness in this world? It is inherently unfair that hardworking people are equal to lazy and incompetent people. Excessive fairness will only make people lose the desire to make progress. Zhang Yang never intends to build an equal world. In his eyes, the process of overthrowing the world government is nothing more than changing the world with a different ruler. The inferiority of human beings can never be erased. What they are doing is creating a new order. After countless years, this order may be like the current world government. Rotten, withered, overthrown by an angry people in despairing pain and unbearable stupor. Dynasties change and regimes are exchanged. How can there be an immortal dynasty? This is the unchanging truth in the world. This point, Drago may have felt, perhaps just unwilling to accept. But whatever the future holds, at least for now, for countless people who are oppressed by the world government and living in dire straits, the emergence of the Revolutionary Army is inevitable. They may become synonymous with evil in the future, but at least for now, they are on the side of justice. How far is it to Gaxi Island? Estimated to arrive at Gaxi Island in 4 hours. 4 hours. Zhang Yang nodded, and the next trip to Gaxi Island was an important part of his money making. In terms of making money, what is more profitable than black income? Guns, controlled products, information trade, slave trade. Zhang Yang's eyes flickered, and his next goal was to use the lawless land of Gaxi Island to create a city of entertainment with rich functions. A city that never sleeps, integrating various illegal occupations and entertainment. A chaotic place free from rules. He wants to make this place a city of dreams that has order, that countless pirates yearn for, and that makes people dream of life and death. And what he has to do is to become the underground emperor of this world. Speaking of which, it seems that there is no such thing as Product D in this world. Zhang Yang rubbed his chin. In fact, if you really want to talk about huge profits, what is more profitable than D products? That kind of thing, but once it is contaminated, it can't be quit, and the multimillionaire will become a trash waiting to die. He can't bear to use this kind of thing to harm civilians, but it's not killing two birds with one stone to make money from pirates. Pirates usually float on the sea all year round doing nothing, and they can also research and develop electronic products. Bill can rely on Microsoft to become the richest man in the world. Why can't he develop electronic products and become the richest man in One Piece world? So, there are many ways to make money, but what he lacks now is not money, but talent. Talents who are really useful and can help him make money. However, these are just a few ambitions for the future. The most important thing right now is to suppress Gaxi Island and establish a new order for those lawless pirates. In order to start the next step of the plan. Chapter 14 Fruit Restrictions. Pirate ships with various pirate flags were docked on the crowded pier. Gaxi Island has been a gathering place for pirates since decades ago. Slave trading, money laundering, gambling, food, women. As long as you have money, you can get everything you want here. This is a place dedicated to pirates, a paradise for pirates. And the gathering of a large number of pirates has turned this place into a lawless place that no one can control. More than 1,000 corpses are thrown into the sea on the pier every day, and the bluestone paved shore has been solidified red by blood. And this is only part of it. More corpses are piled up in the streets and alleys, waiting for others to burn them clean. Pirates offering tens of millions of rewards can be seen everywhere here. Only pirates with a reward of over 100 million are eligible to be number 1. Marine. I seem to see Marine's warship. On a pirate ship docked at the pier. A group of pirates who were chatting and farting suddenly made a sound of surprise. On the sea level in the distance, a huge warship pretended to be no one, and swaggered over. It's really Marine without flying the pirate flag. Maybe it's that dead Marine again. Dare to come here to find fault, don't you know that this is the territory of our pirates? Give them some greetings. A few treacherous laughs. Boom boom boom. The flying shells hit the distant warship. Boom. The cannonballs in the air were pierced by several beams of light, smashing into the sky like fireworks. A few dazzling thunders fell from the sky, hitting the pirates precisely, leaving charred corpses all over the floor. On the bow of the warship, Zhang Yang, whose whole body was shining with fine lightning, looked back indifferently. A bunch of lifeless trash dared to shoot at him. My lord, there is a communication from the headquarters, do you answer it? At this time, Raquel trotted over with a tangled face, holding a buzzing phone bug in his hand. Has the matter of annihilating the pirate group and the warship colluding with the pirates been reported? Zhang Yang frowned and asked in a low voice. It's been reported. Raquel nodded. This is what Zhang Yang ordered, how dare he delay? It's probably some kind of mild reprimand, asking me to go back to the headquarters or something like that. Zhang Yang pouted. He didn't have time to deal with those old guys now. He grabbed the phone bug and threw it directly into the sea. Go back and tell them that the phone bug accidentally fell into the sea while fighting the pirates. Go to the logistics department to get a new one. The corner of Raquel's mouth twitched. He couldn't learn the ability to tell nonsense with his eyes open. Sure enough, it is still not deep enough. Just park the warship here, and I will go there alone. After all, it is the base camp of pirates. A group of marines can kill an elephant even if there are too many ants. Not to mention that the group of pirates on Gaxi Island are no longer as simple as ants. A reward of tens of millions is enough to serve as a lieutenant-level officer in the headquarters. Hundreds of thousands of pirates, their hundreds of marines are really no match. Wait a while, when the military rank rises to the rear admiral level, you can form your own fleet to guard a marine base. Zhang Yang is not very satisfied with his military rank. Commodore-level military ranks are really too restrictive. The Grand Line is different from the land of the four seas, there are as many pirates here, and their strength is not low. If you want to guard a marine base, you need at least the rear admiral level to be able to maintain the stability of a sea area. As for officers at the vice admiral level, they usually take over areas ranging from a few to a dozen islands in an area to maintain order. The admiral level is theoretically the highest combat power of marine, and there is no obvious division of regions. They are generally guarded at naval headquarters, and only when special events occur, such as when celestial dragons are attacked, they will be dispatched to act as firefighters. However, this is not the case. Marine internal factions are severely divided, and there are countless vice admirals under admiral, each of which has its own faction. Officers of the same faction report to each other to safeguard their own interests. If nothing else, marines from other factions rarely seek help. Of course, in name admiral is able to command any vice admiral and below generals, including summoning marine generals to launch a devastating purge in a certain area. That is, marine's highest level military operation, Buster Call. Becoming an admiral already has the qualification to mobilize a large amount of marine power to launch Buster Call anytime and anywhere. This is also one of the privileges that admiral has as the naval headquarters and the highest combat power of the world government. As long as there is enough reason, no one can say anything even if an important department of the world government is destroyed. Admiral, Marshal, Zhang Yang narrowed his eyes, he believed that the day would not be too late. Marine's current situation is not easy. Pirate forces sprang up all over the world, restless franchise countries, and the lack of high-end combat power have greatly reduced Marine's deterrence to the rest of the world. As long as the strength is sufficient and a little merit is added, it is not difficult to become an admiral. Zhang Yang is confident that if anyone is said to be the most qualified to become a marine admiral within 10 years, it must be him. If he can't even become marine admiral, then Sakazuki and the others can't even think about it. In 2 years, when they mastered hockey and graduated from the marine training camp, Zhang Yang estimated that his strength was at least at the quasi-admiral level. As for the position of marshal, it is a bit difficult to say. Not surprisingly, after Kong retires, Sengoku should take over the position of marshal. Firstly, he is penultimate in military exploits, secondly, he has sufficient qualifications, and is excellent in strength and resourcefulness. What's more, Sengoku is Marine's only admiral right now. The selection of the Marine Marshal is usually selected from among the reigning admirals. Seniority, military exploits, and strength all meet the conditions, and the entire Marine has almost tacitly agreed that Sengoku will inherit the position of Marshal. Stepping on the moonwalk, quickly fly to Gaxi Island in the distance. The body was filled with electric light, and the delicate electric current tempered the cell structure in the body all the time. Cells are torn and repaired under the stimulation of electric current. In the process, each cell becomes tougher and the internal organs are full of vitality. Zhang Yang has recently discovered that the strengthening effect of gravity on the body is gradually weakening. Even if the gravity is continuously strengthened, it will have no effect on the weight of the body. It seemed that his body had gradually adapted to the torment of gravity, so Zhang Yang changed his method to temper his body. The lightning tempering method, the current effect is not bad, and the body that has entered the bottleneck period has entered the growth stage again. It's just that the speed is much slower than before. One is because his current physique is too strong, it is difficult to improve as fast as before. Second, the effect of the Sea King's blood on him also began to weaken, unless he could find a life form with more vigorous vitality to suck the blood. The limit of the illusion fruit. Zhang Yang sighed. He had discovered one thing a long time ago, that is, when he transformed the local ability of One Piece, his power would not change. But if you transform into a strong person from the non-One Piece's native world, then the inherited power will decline exponentially. In the final analysis, the power of other worlds and the power of this One Piece world are different power systems. In the world of One Piece, it is necessary to abide by the basic laws of this world. If the rules are different and forcibly transformed, it will inevitably sacrifice part of the power and become a bridge between two different systems. Therefore, the stronger the person he transformed, the more power he lost. Of course, the loss is the loss. If it is a star-destroying powerhouse like Master Wasa, even if only 10% of the power is converted, it is enough to hang everything. However, transforming a powerhouse of this level consumes too much energy. Generally, it can only be played as a whole card at a critical moment. For the time being, it is enough, and he can use his whole cards to deal with it, unless he is facing a strong player at the Admiral level. Chapter 15. After I finish speaking, who agrees and who opposes? Burning Bear, I didn't expect your bounty to exceed 200 million faster than labor and capital. I'm really upset. N**********, you're not bad either. With a reward of 190 million, you usually rob houses, don't you? In the dim bar, there was a strong smell of gunpowder. The black ghost twitched the corners of his mouth with a half smile, and his eyes were a little gloomy. Don't be too happy. Invade the marine base and snatch a few warships. Do you think the marine will let you go? Marine. Ha ha ha. Are you afraid of marine? Explosive Bear was biting the barbecue in his hand, and there was some blood in the gaps between his jagged teeth. Leaning forward slightly, his nearly 3-meter-high physique was full of pressure. There's only one of the 3 admirals left. They can't protect themselves now, so they still have the time to take care of us. And, what do you think this is? This is a paradise for us pirates, Gaxi Island. As long as I stay here, which lifeless marine dares to come and find trouble? The black ghost was slightly silent. Although he was very upset with this guy, he had to admit that what this guy said made sense. Unless it is a strong person at the admiral level who makes the shot himself. Otherwise, even a marine general at the vice admiral level would be beaten bloody if he forced his way into Gaxi Island. Captain, this is bad. At this time, a panicked pirate ran in from outside. What are you panicking about? Explosive Bear frowned, feeling that it was embarrassing for his subordinates to be so flustered. The fierce expression made the pirate who ran in suffocate. Boat, Captain, the brothers who stayed behind on our ship were killed. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, the pirate said bravely. Boom. Is there anyone else who dares to touch me? Explosive Bear's eyelids twitched, furious. Just now he was bragging to others about how high his bounty was, but in a blink of an eye the people on board were slaughtered. Isn't this G slapping him in the face? Who did it? Old Wolf. Red Skull. It's still the singer. The furious burst bear slapped the table hard. Boss, it's Marine. The bursting bear's anger paused slightly. Marine. The first thought was that it was impossible. When did Marine dare to go to Joshi Island to make trouble? Not to mention that Marine is weak now, even in the peak period of Marine decades ago, it would not have done this. It's not that I can't, it's that I don't need it. Instead of wasting energy to hunt and kill pirates, wouldn't it be nice to let a group of pirates kill each other on the island? Several warships. When this question was asked, Burst Bear was already thinking about how to run away. Bragging is bragging, but what if Marine really intends to clean Gaxi Island and get on with it? Just kidding, how to fight? Now that Marine decides to clean up Gaxi Island, at least Admiral-level Marine will be sent to guard it. As far as this group of people on their island is concerned, Marines at the Vice Admiral level can still deal with them. As for the highest combat power of Naval Headquarters, the Admiral level. One is counted as one, but tied together as death. Do you really think that the title of Naval Headquarters and World Government's highest combat power is a joke? Admiral-level powerhouses are natural disasters that move one by one. Only one. What? There's only one ship. It's that lifeless thing. Hearing that there was only one warship, Burst Bear's heart relaxed. A warship. It's definitely not Vice Admiral. Admiral is out. Admiral is capable of cleaning Gaxi Island by himself, but the Admiral team in the headquarters will not be so cheap, and the Vice Admiral team will not be so small. Even if it is too small, it can't hold back the tens of thousands of pirates on this island. A warship. Steady. Reckless. Are you talking about me? A strange voice sounded behind him. In an instant, the indescribable deadly threat made the hairs all over Burst Bear stand on end. Who is it? When? His eyes widened, and the hair on his body was thick. In the blink of an eye, the explosive bear had turned into a black-brown bear. With a ferocious expression, he waved his hand and grabbed it back. I made you stand up. Boom. A huge force came from his shoulders, and explosive bear was directly pressed to the ground by one hand. Boom. Dense spider web-like patterns spread across the ground. Demon fruit power. Quite powerful. Patting the dirt on his clothes, Zhang Yang tilted his neck. One foot stepped on the head of the explosive bear. Puff. A flame ignited at the fingertips and lit a cigarette. My little brother, where do you want to go? The N**********, who had almost reached the door froze, turned around slowly, with a forced smile on his face. No, I didn't go anywhere. With one hand, the bounty was on top of him, and the explosive bear who was about the same strength was dropped in seconds. This guy, this Marine, is a monster. I like smart people. Zhang Yang raised his face slightly, and the corners of his mouth, hidden in the dark corner where the light could not shine, slightly raised. Help me with something. The thing is done, the glory and wealth, the thing is ruined. You die. N asterisk 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 R, what did you call us here for? In the dark bar, the atmosphere is depressing. Surrounding a round table, 12 people were seated. These 12 people are currently the most powerful pirate gang on Gaxi Island. The lowest bounty was 150 million, 4 of them had a bounty of more than 200 million, and 1 had a bounty of more than 300 million. It can be said that, except for the few pirates who are unwilling to mix in, these people have almost represented more than half of the pirate forces on the island. I called you over to discuss a way of making money for you. The black ghost sitting at the top looked slightly uncomfortable. If it wasn't impossible, he really didn't want to do this. But if he didn't do it, he would be the one to die. So, a dead fellow Taoist will never die a poor monk, so don't blame me either. Discuss the important matter of making money. The eyes of a few casual pirates lit up slightly, and they stood up, obviously interested. What is the purpose of a person who goes to sea to be a pirate? Isn't it just for money? Not for Bailey, except for those who have nowhere to go, who would risk being hunted down by Marine every day to go to sea. Do you really think they yearn for freedom? Tell me, how to make money. Gaxi Island, make a rule. Before the black ghost finished speaking, he was interrupted by other pirates. Ha 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 ha. Rules, you let a group of pirates obey the rules. Even if it's the rules, whose rules are you following? Yours or mine? Is it profitable to manage Gaxi Island? Of course earn. Among other things, each person goes ashore to charge a certain registration fee. Thousands of pirates land on Gaxi Island every day, which is a business worth tens of millions. Moreover, slave trading, treasure laundering, and information trading on the island, which one is not a profitable business. Randomly taking a 20% to 30% handling fee is a huge profit. Don't think that 20% to 30% is a lot. The business of pirates is a no-cost business, as long as the safety can be ensured, and people will not be blacked out, even if they take half of the share, some people will hold their noses and bear it. However, the question is, if you set the rules, do others have to follow the rules? They are all a group of unruly pirates, who will obey your rules. In the world of pirates, the law of the jungle is the only rule. If you want others to abide by your rules, you must first have the strength to suppress everyone. And the reality is, all of them present do not have this strength. If you just want to say this, I'll take my leave first. Next time you come to me with such unreliable things, be careful, otherwise, I will kill you. One by one, the pirates got up and were about to leave. Let's go. I think it's better to stay. A casual murmur. The space froze, and an overbearing black-red hockey invaded. Boom boom boom. The pirates who stayed outside the bar knelt on the ground with white eyes. This is hockey at Conquerors. N asterisk 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 R, you want black to eat black. The pupils contracted, and all the pirates looked at the stairs on the second floor with terrified eyes. Da da da. The orderly heavy footsteps seem to be stepping on the heart, making people's blood vessels dilate, and there is a feeling that they will burst in the next second. Accompanied by heavy steps, the man in a black slim suit and Marine's iconic general school cape walked down from the second floor step by step. I think Gaxi Island needs a stable order. He raised his head slightly, revealing a reckless face. There was a cold smile on the corner of Zhang Yang's mouth, and his oppressive eyes swept across the faces of each pirate. He casually threw a half-dead figure into the center of the pirates. Now, who is for and who is against? Chapter 16 Pirate Code. Black Emperor. Hiss, it's an explosive bear. This guy, he was actually. Seeing the horribly beaten Bokuma on the ground, the expressions of a group of pirates changed wildly. The strength of the explosive bear ranks in the middle of their group, and can solve the explosive bear. The strength of this marine should not be underestimated. N asterisk 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 R, you have the guts to conspire with marine to harm us. Among the crowd, a taciturn man with a flat-cut head slowly got up, his 3.5 meters tall was full of pressure. Big black shadows cover the N asterisk 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 RS. The black ghost took 2 steps back, a look of fear flashed in his eyes. Kasho, nicknamed Blood Fist, is a big pirate with a bounty of 320 million and a Paramesha Steel Fruit ability user. I don't want to, but if I don't do this, I will die. Although the N asterisk 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 R was a little afraid of this taciturn man, he was not afraid. Compared with Kasho, what scares him more is the mysterious marine. The thing I hate the most in my life is the betrayer. There was a cold luster in the wooden eyes. The crimson fist, so hot that the air seemed to be ignited, fiercely hit the black ghost on the head. Betrayer. Die. Kashu gritted his teeth, obviously extremely angry. Boom. A pitch-black long knife parried Kasho's red-hot fist, and the black ghost was directly sent flying by the powerful head-on force. This monster. The N asterisk 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 with trembling hands, half kneeling on the ground, the strength of the card repair. Much stronger than he thought. Swish. Dazzling golden light particles condensed and formed in front of Kashu's body, stopping Kashu who wanted to pursue him. Steel fruit. The body is as hard as metal, and it can generate high temperature. You remind me of a very annoying guy. Zhang Yang looked at Kasho, whose whole body was covered with a layer of metallic luster and his fists were burning red, his eyes narrowed slightly. This guy's fruit ability is too similar to Sakazuki's ability. Even if it's a dog, it's still my dog. When will it be your turn to teach me a lesson? What are you? The golden light particles gathered on Zhang Yang's leg, and he kicked straight at Kasho's chest. Have you ever been kicked by light? What? Dazzling golden light. Explode before your eyes. Boom. Without even having time to react, Kasho's body flew out. After smashing through more than a dozen walls behind him, he was buried in the soil by a pile of debris, and there was no movement for a long time. The other pirates were taken aback. The strongest pirate among them was killed in one fell swoop. This guy's strength is too terrifying. FK. Let's go together. Kill him. After a pirate yelled, he suddenly found that everyone else turned around and ran away except himself. Are you kidding me? Let's go together. Can kill Kashu in seconds. The strength of this monster is not at the admiral level, but it is almost at the quasi-admiral level. They guys with a bounty of only 100 to 200 million, what can they do? Do you want to fight? Seeing his expression half smile, he looked at his own Zhang Yang playfully. The pirate twitched his mouth and slowly raised his hands. I surrender. Boom. A figure flew out of the bar and smashed through several walls in succession. Surrender is fine, but beating is also a must. Zhang Yang walked out of the bar slowly. A group of guys who eat hard but don't eat soft. If you don't clean up, you will never learn to be honest. Run. Where can I go? The turbulent observation hockey covered the entire island. Swish. Zhang Yang stepped on the moonwalk and came to the sky. A gleaming mirror was condensed in his hand. 8-foot mirror. The dazzling beams of light refracted each other on the buildings, and the square kilometers were connected in series like spider webs. A flash of light flashed in front of several fleeing pirates at the same time. Puff puff. In a short moment, Zhang Yang's figure appeared and disappeared in several directions at the same time. Covered with hockey's foot, all the fleeing pirates were kicked back to the front of the bar. Now you should learn to be more honest. Holding 2 half-dead pirates in his hands, he threw them in front of a group of pirates who had lost their ability to resist. The severe cold air condensed into a frozen throne behind him. Zhang Yang is leaning on the throne, with a standard admiral-style legs crossed, his chin resting on his hands. Now, is there anyone who disagrees with me? A group of pirates looked at each other blankly. What happened? Just now, they saw a flash of light in front of them, and then they were kicked back directly. The strength of that kick was such that his chest would explode. The most powerful Kasho wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, reluctantly got up from the ground, and sat cross-legged on the ground. On a calm and excessive face, there was puzzlement and doubt, as if he didn't care about his instant defeat at all. What do you want us to do? Be loyal to me. Zhang Yang smiled slightly. Hey, a righteous marine commodore would let a group of evil pirates be his subordinates. The smile on Kasho's face couldn't tell whether it was ridicule or self-deprecation. There was a moment of silence. What if I refuse? Zhang Yang smiled brightly, his eyes were slightly cold, and a blazing blue thunder gathered in his palm. Then go die. He is short of people, but if he thinks that he can negotiate terms with him and let him be a corporal, he is wrong. Time is precious, and there is not so much time for him to distract himself. All he wants is a group of tool people without feelings. It's not about falling in love, it's about taking care of your heart and taking care of your kidneys. It's better to be simple and rude when it comes to accepting younger brothers. If you don't agree, you will die. It doesn't matter if he is dissatisfied in his heart, as long as his strength can suppress these guys, he won't be afraid of someone shaking the sky. What does this job include? Help you rob civilians? Kashu pondered for a moment and asked. Zhang Yang's next words will determine his answer. No, I just need you to help me maintain order on this island. Zhang Yang shook his head. Robbery. Too low. The money comes back quickly, but it is a one-time business. I have never heard of anyone who can become a rich man by robbing. Isn't it much faster to do business than to get money from robbery? Why do so many people take the risk, even at the risk of being killed, to sell drugs and guns? Because he has enough huge profits. A 200% interest is enough to make people take risks, and a 500% interest can make people forget the risk of being hanged. If there were 10 times the benefits, countless people would dare to risk their lives even if they were held to their heads with guns. This is what he does. A smart person knows which one to choose between drinking poison to quench thirst in a long stream of water. Order. Kasho's expression was a little astonished. Obviously he did not expect to get such a reply. From now on, everyone who lands on this island must abide by the rules I set. Zhang Yang tapped his fingers, and his indifferent voice echoed like a law. Pirate Code. Article 1. Anyone who has no choice but to kill anyone on this island in any form, violators, die. Pirate Code. Article 2. Any business on the island must pay 30% of the profits and be protected. Black eat black, die. Pirate Code. Article 3. All people on the island, their personal assets are protected. Looters, die. Pirate Code. Article 4. Mutual killing is prohibited in the 100-mile sea area near Gaxi Island, and those who violate it will die. The Code of Pirates. Zhang Yang stated all the rules and regulations he had initially formulated in one breath. These contents will be placed in the most conspicuous place on the pier, no one can violate them, and your responsibilities. Eyes full of oppression swept over each pirate. Like the calm before the storm, the air is so oppressive that it feels suffocating. Just maintain the order on this island for me. Is that all? Kasho breathed a sigh of relief silently. The result was much better than expected. If he could, he didn't want to die, but if the actions of this marine were inconsistent with his ideas, he could only fight to the death. Fortunately, the worst ending didn't happen. Struggling to get up, he half kneeled on the ground, stroked his chest with one hand, and lowered his head slightly. Gul'dan Kasho, I would like to devote my whole life to you. A homage to the Kingdom of Knights. Zhang Yang narrowed his eyes slightly. The Knight Kingdom Gul'dan is a country where the whole country respects the virtues of knights. Powerful, but the country has been closed for a long time. This country attaches great importance to personal morality, and a big pirate with a bounty of more than 300 million, unexpectedly came from this country. It is really surprising. Maybe there is some secret hidden in him. Zhang Yang shook his head. He didn't really care, no matter where he came from. Anyway, all he wanted was a tool man who could serve him. Seeing that the most powerful Kasho has been subdued, although the other pirates are a little upset, they can only hold back their thoughts. They don't want to die. From now on, you will call me. Zhang Yang glanced at the pirate kneeling in front of him. Since he wants to be the master behind the scenes on Joshi Island, then naturally he can't directly show his true identity to others. At least not so above board. There are many Marines who make money privately, but this kind of dirty work is handed over to the people under their hands. If it is exposed, neither Marine nor himself will face it. Therefore, he needs a code name. You guys will call me, the Black Emperor from now on. The Underground Emperor of the Dark World. Chapter 17 You Demons. Cow Devil Fruit. Eat this fruit. Zhang Yang threw a devil fruit with a spiral pattern in front of the N*********R. This is, Zone Devil Fruit. The black ghost looked at the devil fruit in front of him, with a surprised expression, and pointed to himself. Give me. When I'm not around in the future, you and Kasho will manage this island. Your strength is too weak. Although the strength of the reward amount of about 200 million is not considered weak in the Grand Line, it is definitely not considered strong. To suppress this group of lazy pirates, the strength of the N*******RS must at least reach the level of Vice Admiral. Kasho's strength has almost touched the bottom line of the Vice Admiral level, and he almost reached the Vice Admiral level. Zhang Yang taught him the hockey cultivation method, and it is expected that it will not be difficult to break through to the Vice Admiral level within 2 or 3 years. But to suppress such a large island, relying on a Kasho is far from enough. But if you add another Vice Admiral level swordsman, and a group of pirates with a bounty of over 100 million, it will be almost the same. The strength of the N*******R is not weak, and the bounty of nearly 200 million can be achieved by relying on sword skills. If he eats devil fruit, his strength can reach at least 300 million. As long as he masters hockey, he will be a strong person at the Vice Admiral level. As a Marine, it is certainly impossible for him to sit in a pirate base camp like Gaxi Island every day. He wouldn't feel at ease if he let this group of pirates manage it, so he planned to cultivate a few confidants. Cardshu and N*******R are the best candidates. A person who is strong enough to intimidate others, and who comes from a kingdom of knights, can help him train these pirates into disciplined soldiers. And the N******R betrayed those pirates again, and he would definitely be excluded in this circle, so he could only rely on him, at least for the time being, he didn't need to worry about his betrayal. The N******R knelt on the ground, excitedly picked up the devil fruit on the ground, and said in a serious tone. I, An******R, will be the most loyal servant of the Black Emperor from now on. Who, under the eyes of envy and hatred, he bit off the devil fruit, and the black ghost's face instantly turned green. This thing, why is it so unpalatable? Plop. The N******R fell to the ground, struggling in pain, with thick veins throbbing all over his body. Great reaction. Zhang Yang narrowed his eyes slightly. He didn't remember eating devil fruit would be so painful. This kind of intense reaction, could it be? Devil fruit of Phantom Beast. Boom. A bright red flame of blood emerged from the N*******'s body. An indescribable rage permeated the blazing flames. Immediately afterwards, circles of black and red magic patterns appeared on the black ghost's body, and 2 thick and ferocious horns emerged from the top of the black ghost's head. The N*******'s body swelled like it was inflated, 2 meters, 3 meters. Hurrah! White mist sprayed out from the nose, and the black ghost with blood-red eyes got up from the ground, half knelt on the ground, shrinking in size little by little. Thank you, Master, for the reward. The naked N******R was half kneeling on the ground, his face was full of excitement, and his gratitude to Zhang Yang was beyond words. The fruit he just ate was a legendary phantom beast that was rarer than the Logia devil fruit. Cow devil fruit. The earth bull demon can also be called the strong bull demon. The ability of this devil fruit is terrifying. It has strong recovery power, and extremely explosive power. As long as you stand on the ground, you can continuously absorb the power of the earth to restore your physical fitness and improve your strength. And his blood flame can absorb the opponent's vitality, burn the opponent's blood into a fiery high temperature, and continuously weaken the opponent. It can be said that it is a very strong devil fruit in actual combat, and it can be called one of the invincible fruits on land. Cow devil fruit. Hearing the voice of the black ghost, Zhang Yang nodded silently. This was an unexpected surprise. Originally, I wanted to cultivate a vice admiral, but now, the monster fruit power of the phantom beast, maybe this guy is qualified to become an admiral level combat power. Zhang Yang is not afraid that the N******R is too powerful and will go beyond his control. The admiral level seems to be unattainable now, but in a few years, he may no longer take it seriously. With his growth rate, nothing is impossible. Gaxi Island will have a swordsman with admiral-level potential in the future, so it shouldn't be a problem. At least, when other people want to make an idea here, even if they are at the Four Emperors level, they have to weigh whether they have the capital. The future Gaxi Island is the foundation for him to achieve his goals, and also the core for him to build the underground Black Kingdom. There will certainly not be only one admiral-level powerhouse sitting in it. NG*S were the first and definitely not the last. As for the planning of Joshi Island, Zhang Yang already had a general direction in mind. Taking the Las Vegas casino city of the previous life and the red light district of the island country as the template, a maritime city integrating entertainment, leisure and trading has been created. First of all, he needs to tear down and rebuild all the buildings on the island, divide them into 24 blocks, and manage them by different people. The main body is casinos, information, contraband, black market, slave trade, mixed with amusement parks, bar-side jobs. The shops in each block need to pay 30% of the income every month. And he will take 80% of these profits every month to develop his strength, and leave the remaining 20% to the people below. He eats meat, but also makes others drink soup. Such a city that never sleeps on the sea will definitely become a dream land that every pirate on the Grand Line would love to leave. What is your monthly income? Unimaginable. And all of this is inseparable from one word, order. Only a safe and stable order can make this the most prosperous city that never sleeps above the four seas and the Grand Line. How could such a chaotic and lawless place attract those rich and powerful? However, in this case, the area of Gaxi Island seems to be a bit insufficient. Zhang Yang tapped on the armrest of the throne. We need to find a way to expand the scope of Gaxi Island. Is it the ability to transform lion fruit, or to create a continent directly? Planetary devastation. After thinking about it carefully, Zhang Yang felt that it was better to keep a low profile. The creation of planets is a bit too exaggerated, and his current physique directly activates the level of planetary devastation, which is really a bit reluctant. Or move a few islands together. However, before that, he still needs to completely suppress those unsubdued pirate forces on Gaxi Island. It took half a day to suppress the remaining pirate forces on Gaxi Island. After 2 or 3 days of busy work, they moved to 3 deserted islands, and the scale of Joshi Island finally reached Zhang Yang's psychological expectations. The N******** R was left with a phone bug that could contact him directly, and a lot of treasure as development funds. Zhang Yang left Gaxi Island. He is only in charge of the overall situation. As for building islands, he doesn't need to care about them personally, and he doesn't have that much time. If he can't even do this little thing well, he should really consider whether it is necessary to keep this group of trash. Zhang Yang's fleet was slowly heading towards naval headquarters. It wasn't that he wanted to go back, but if he didn't go back, some people in naval headquarters might be impatient. Lawless. Marshal, what's the matter, are you so angry? Vice Admiral he looked at the angry Marshal Kongu suspiciously, not knowing who dared to make the top decision maker of Marine so angry. It's not that stinky boy. I asked him to destroy a pirate to accumulate merits. He is good. He killed a pirate and killed a headquarters rear admiral. The news from the communication room just now is that the phone bug on the Augustus ship can no longer be contacted. Kong Ji-yu rubbed his forehead with some headaches. Just now the person behind the headquarters rear admiral called him to complain and protest, but what can he do? Punish Augustus. Among other things, imprisoning a commodore with admiral qualifications for a headquarters rear admiral. No matter what era it is, this kind of thing cannot happen. Even if he agrees, the high level of world government will not agree. Now the world has been in turmoil since Admiral Zephyr retired, and 5 elders has already been troubled by headaches. The world government desperately needs a new admiral to come along and breathe life into Marine. Not to mention, the pressure on him, the Marine Marshal, is not as easy as that of the world government. The world is in turmoil, and the Grand Line's powerhouses are emerging one after another. Admiral Sengoku was dispatched to suppress the Whitebeard pirates, which had become popular recently, and Vice Admiral Garp was to pursue Golden Lion and Rider. There are countless ambitious pirates like World Destroyer Bond and the Luogia pirates who came from behind. Almost all the vice admirals in the headquarters have been dispatched. In this case, let him punish a qualified future admiral for a bad deed. Madara, a marine moth who was happy to die. Is he crazy? Although he was somewhat dissatisfied with Augustus' recklessness, what made him even more angry was that naval headquarters vice admiral's ignorance. Vice admiral, a headquarters that is about to retire, is not in the headquarters to wait for his death, and he can't even see the situation in order to make a last sum of money before leaving. To be so stubborn at this juncture, I really think he doesn't know what he has been doing in private for the past 2 years. If it weren't for the fact that he had made a lot of contributions to Marine when he was young, he would have accused him of colluding with pirates to make money and forging such great achievements. That's enough for the next 10 impel downs. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. If he hadn't been used to self-cultivation over the years as a marshal, he would have caught this kind of lawless Marine scum a few decades ago. Grab the phone bug on the table and go straight to the communications department. HMPH, send a telegram to Augustus, and if he doesn't come back, I'll let him guard impel down. Chapter 18 Special Tasks. Rayleigh, is this Gaxi Island? Why do I feel that it is much bigger than what I heard? Why do not you talk? On the edge of the pier, a pirate ship is docked on the shore. Luogia, who hadn't heard a reply for a long time, tilted her head in doubt. I saw Rayleigh beside him staring blankly at a stone on the edge of the pier. Following his gaze, he saw that there was a book engraved on the stone tablet, and the 4 big characters of the pirate code were written on the book. Pirate code. Interesting. Is there a code specifically for pirates? Luo Jia read it with great interest, and the next step was the content of the law code line by line. At first I thought it might be an entertainment made by the pirates, but after watching it, Luo Jia's expression became very strange. And it's really a codex. Each of the 18 rules listed above ends in a dead letter. Fighting and looting are not allowed on the island, transactions are legal and cannot be reversed, and fighting within 100 miles around the island is not allowed. The loose but strict rules are common to ordinary people, but they are like a joke to pirates. Rayleigh, what do you think? Turning to look at his deputy captain, Luo Jia showed an interested smile on his face. It's interesting, but not realistic. Rayleigh shook his head, telling a group of pirates to abide by the law. It would be better to expect a group of wolves to stop eating meat and eat grass instead. In this era without big secret treasures and dreams, the only goal of pirates going to sea is to burn, kill, loot and snatch more treasures. As for freedom and dreams, those are things only fools would pursue. Whether it is practical or not, I think the people who made this code are great. Luo Jia shook his head with a serious expression on his face. Rayleigh shrugged. Okay, great is what you say. He was too lazy to entangle these things with this rough-headed guy. He didn't know what to think at the beginning, and he got into this guy's boat as soon as his brain got hot. He also said that it was destined. I believe you were fated. Now that I think about it, I shouldn't have drunk so much alcohol back then, otherwise I wouldn't have been fooled into boarding the boat so easily by this guy. After boarding the island, the two walked all the way and saw an unidentified building under construction in full swing. I also saw a few pirates who were fighting, and were shot dead by a group of men in black. Where there is chaos, there will inevitably be a group of people in black military uniforms to suppress all unrest. Among them, some big pirates with a bounty of more than 100 million resisted, but they were smashed into a pulp by the bull demon exuding bloody fireworks with a 3-meter-long bloody flame épée. Or he was shot to death in a short moment by that man with red fists and iron body. Groups of black emperor guards in black military uniforms patrolled the streets. But on the streets on both sides, there are open and above-board slave trade and casino operations. Order and chaos harmoniously merged together. These people should be pirates, right? Luo Jia, I suddenly understand what you just said. Rayleigh's eyes were complicated. It wasn't his first visit to Gaxi Island, but this time the feeling was completely different from before. If we say that the original Gaxi Island was a place of chaos and lawlessness. Now, this island, which has expanded several times for some unknown reason, gives him the feeling that it is a barren but vibrant city. Possibilities are endless. Can make a chaotic and lawless place become like this, great. Indeed, I am on this island, and I hear the sound of order and prosperity. Luo Jia looked serious. Outside naval headquarters, a warship slowly entered. August Commodore, Marshal Kongu was summoned. As soon as he docked at the pier, Zhang Yang, who stepped off the ship, was stopped by a marine with the rank of colonel. Are you going to make a report without giving some time to recuperate? Zhang Yang scratched his head, knowing that a scolding would be inevitable without guessing. Marshal Kong Ji must have been full of anger by now. Everyone has 3 days off, take the boat to repair, and pack all the supplies by the way. After ordering to go down to Raquel, Zhang Yang came to the marshal's office alone. Report, Marshal, Commodore Augustus is here to report, can you come in? Come in. A suppressed angry voice came from inside the house. As soon as he opened the door and walked in, a book flew towards him. Marshal Kong, Commodore Augustus is here to return. Tilting his head to avoid the flying book hitting his face, Zhang Yang stood at attention with a serious face and saluted. Commodore, you know you're just a Commodore. Looking at Zhang Yang with a dignified expression, Marshal Kong stretched out his finger and smiled back at him. A Commodore dares to destroy a rear admiral's warship. If I let you become an admiral, you will be turned upside down, and you want to kill me, the marshal. Don't dare. Zhang Yang didn't look sideways, but curled his lips inwardly. When he becomes admiral, if you dare to provoke him, let alone kill you, labor and management will even open your ancestral grave. Okay, I don't want to entangle you with this matter. If it weren't for the shortage of manpower at naval headquarters recently, in the past, if you committed such a thing, you would at least be imprisoned and impelled down for a few years to reflect. Marshal Kong Kong gave a few words of warning and sighed. Originally, after this mission is over, your military rank can be raised to the Rear Admiral level, but you killed Carey Rear Admiral, even if he deserves to die, but you made a mistake after all, so don't think about the promotion for now. Quote. Marshal Kong was also helpless. He originally planned to give Zhang Yang a simple task and award him the rank of Rear Admiral upon his return. Then let him clean up a few well-known pirates, accumulate achievements, and within 2 or 3 years, he will be officially promoted to the Vice Admiral level. After accumulating several years of qualifications, it is logical to become the headquarters of Admiral. But now that something has happened, the plan has been disrupted. Whether it is to appease other Marines or for the majesty of Marines, it is inevitable to refrigerate Zhang Yang for a period of time. Although the interior of the world government is chaotic, some things are unwritten in spoken rules, and it will be hard for anyone who breaks them. It just so happens that I have something here that I need you to do. If it goes well, you should be able to come back within 2 months. This matter is of great importance, so the whole process needs to be kept secret. Kong Ji Yu handed over an envelope to Zhang Yang. This secret mission comes from the world government 5 elders. Originally, this matter required Sengoku to go there in person, but there has been a little disturbance in New World recently, and the Whitebeard pirates made a lot of noise, and Sengoku has been dispatched there. It is expected that they will not be able to return in a short time, and ordinary Vice Admiral level strong players are too risky and prone to trouble. Therefore, Zhang Yang, who is not as strong as Admiral but far surpasses Vice Admiral, is the best candidate. Zhang Yang opened the envelope suspiciously, and took out a letter from inside. Grand Line Organ Island, the future kingdom of Bakumoa. Life plan. Serious threat. Capture Vegapunk alive. Vegapunk. Zhang Yang was slightly taken aback, he was no stranger to this name. The scientist who belongs to the world government and has 500 years of wisdom ahead of the world. Discovered the blood factor, the technology of transferring the ability of devil fruit to objects, using Seastone to allow warships to successfully pass through the calm belt, and also the developer of pacifists. Each of his deeds is also worthy of his title of wisdom beyond the world's 500 years. In the future, this person is even more important to Marine and world government than Admiral. Was it just discovered by the world government now? Zhang Yang's eyes flickered slightly. Hey, let him capture Vegapunk, there are too many places to operate. Go down and rest for a while, and leave in 3 days. Marshal Sky's path, this matter is important, but not so urgent. After all, it was the espionage CP organization of the world government who first discovered this matter, and all those who knew about this matter have been silenced and imprisoned. So far, the world government is the only faction that knows about this matter. Yes, salute Zhang Yang, farewell. Turn around and leave the marshal's office. As soon as he walked out the door, Zhang Yang almost collided with an old guy who was walking towards him. Frowning, observation haki triggered, turning around to avoid it. Chapter 19 The Strongest Illusion. Distinguished Heavenly Gods. There are no rules, can't you even salute when you see the officer? Zhang Yang looked at this guy with a puzzled expression. Who the hell are you? Observation haki, sensed a bit. His breath is unstable, and his life characteristics are declining. At the peak of his strength, he should be a vice admiral, but now he is not even as good as a rear admiral. Time is always an enemy that any strong man can't match. However, this gray-haired old guy seems to have a deep prejudice against him. Although it is well hidden, the malice from the heart cannot hide from the perception of the heart network. Zhang Yang is obviously not the kind of person who suffers. If someone respects me a foot, I will return another foot. This old guy is relying on his old man to sell his old man. Do you really think he would put a vice admiral in his eyes on his seniority? Conqueror's haki is united in one line. Now he is free to condense his conqueror's haki, from an ethereal will to a substantive force that can interfere with the world. Although there is still a long way to go before the red hair can shatter reality on a large scale. But his current haki is not too far away from the territory of the consolidated overlord. In the competition of will and courage, he has never lost to anyone. Ka ka ka. The walls and floors shattered under the dull pressure, cracks cracking like spider webs. In Vice Admiral's eyes, the thin and straight figure was infinitely magnified at this moment. A pair of slender eyes narrowed slightly, and there was a bone-chilling coldness in the indifferent eyes. The king is in the world, looking down upon you. Kneel down. The two faint words are like a bell in the morning and a drum in the evening, beating on my heart. The force coming from all directions made the Vice Admiral's legs tremble and he couldn't stand up. Plop. His brain went blank, his knees involuntarily bowed down. After all, it is the veteran Vice Admiral, who was caught off guard and quickly broke free from the shock of conquerors. But when he reacted, Vice Admiral found himself kneeling on the ground. His face turned pale for a while, ferocious and aggrieved, he actually kneeled down for a brat. Vice Admiral. Zhang Yang smiled inexplicably, and passed by. From the beginning to the end, this old thing was never taken seriously. The trick of relying on the old and selling the old doesn't work here, or it's not easy to do it in naval headquarters, change the place, because of his vengeful temperament. He had screwed the old thing's head off. This kid is really lawless. Marshal Sora, who sensed all this through observation haki in the office, shook his head helplessly. Glancing at the clerk next to him, his eyes were slightly cold. Go warn Moss Vice Admiral, my tolerance is limited. He used his seniority to bargain with him over and over again, and he was already getting tired of this old guy who was just waiting to die in the headquarters. For a money-making tool and a promising admiral headquarters, he was selected for the preliminaries. He was so old that he lost his mind. So much for the fun. If this old guy doesn't know how to restrain himself, impel down is his final destination. Marine will be extremely tolerant to those who are capable, but it is absolutely true to those who are worthless. Admiral Zephyr is an example. 3 days later, the replenished warship sailed from naval headquarters to Grand Line Island with a fully loaded marine. After a long journey, the Organ Island is far away. The process went smoothly and did not encounter any unexpected situations. After all, today's Grand Line is not a situation where the future 4 emperors will rule. Marine is still the absolute king on the Grand Line. Those who took the initiative to attack Marine were either lunatics who did not know how to live or die, or strong men who had absolute confidence in their own strength. But this kind of person will generally not take the initiative to attack Marine. No one can afford to anger Marine. Vegapunk. Looking at the destination Organ Island far away, Zhang Yang narrowed his eyes slightly, thinking about the next thing. Now that he has decided to stand against the world government and be a great boy, then Vegapunk must not be handed over to the world government. No, it should be said that it cannot be handed over to the world government without reservation. People will definitely hand it in, but he still needs to do some tricks before handing it in. The warship landed. You wait here. After giving the order, Zhang Yang rushed to the place recorded on the envelope. No one could see what he was going to do next except himself. In the future kingdom of Bakumoa, in a secret laboratory. How many batches is this already? Looking at a group of men in black who were killed by artificial synthetic beasts, Vegapunk pushed his glasses, and there was a hint of thought in his eyes shining with wisdom. Since half a month ago, he discovered that his secret laboratory had been invaded by someone. Immediately afterwards, several groups of people of unknown origin attempted to enter the laboratory and rob him. These people were very powerful, but they were not the opponents of his little pets. Vegapunk didn't feel much relief in his heart. The strength of the intruder became stronger each time, but he was keenly aware that something was wrong. These people seemed to be trying to take him away, but in fact it seemed that they were just trying to hold him back. Why hold him back? He guessed it was because they were waiting for someone more powerful to arrive. Vegapunk looked at the blueprint on the desktop, which he discovered in an experiment not long ago. Intuition told him that the purpose of these unknown people might be related to this picture. This place doesn't look like it's going to last. I looked at the laboratory that accompanied my childhood with some reluctance. Because of the lack of funds, he invested a lot of effort in this laboratory, but now he has to leave. After tidying up the things on the table and the research results, Vegapunk took the 3 artificial synthetic beasts he transformed and escaped from the secret passage left in the laboratory. Now the outside has been monitored. Fortunately, when he established this secret laboratory, he had already thought that this might happen, so he was careful. Passing through the narrow passage, the oncoming wind and snow made Vegapunk shrink his neck. Should have gotten rid of their surveillance. Vegapunk forgot to glance at the looming laboratory behind him, and muttered to himself. It should be impossible to find such a long distance, and he deliberately destroyed the tunnel before leaving. By the time they find it, he may have fled the future kingdom long ago. Tread, tread. At this time, the dull sound of snow being trampled made Vegapunk's blood flow quicker, and his scalp tingled. In the wind and snow, wearing a general school cape and a black suit, a thin man who stood out in the snow walked unhurriedly. There was a smile on the corner of his mouth, and the expression on his face was full of meaning. It seems that I came at the right time. Dr. Vegapunk, first meeting, let me introduce myself, Naval Headquarters Commodore, Augustus. Marine, World Government. In an instant, all the doubts in his heart disappeared, and a wry smile appeared on the corner of Vegapunk's mouth. So, am I being targeted by the world government? No wonder. I'm really sorry for taking the liberty to visit, but it's my duty, please come with me. Vegapunk took 2 steps back slightly, his expression indifferent. If you want to take me away, let's see if you have the ability. He doesn't want to be imprisoned by the world government, his dream has not been fulfilled, he still has a lot of experiments to complete, absolutely, absolutely not. Caught by the world government. Ho ho. The man-made synthetic dog drooling from the corner of its mouth crawled on its knees, approaching fiercely. A powerful genetic synthetic beast at the Commodore level, not bad, but not enough. Zhang Yang glanced away, and in his blood-red eyes, 3 hook jades slowly emerged, and quickly spun into a strange shape. Amaterasu. The pitch-black and extinguishable flame instantly devoured the 3 synthetic beasts. The pupils contracted suddenly, and Vegapunk's heart sank. His trump card was wiped out in the blink of an eye. Without saying a word, he turned and ran. Boom. A large hand squeezed Vegapunk's neck. In the slowly turning blood-colored eyes, 3 black guyu condensed into a 4-sided sickle shape, staring at him indifferently. Distinguished Heavenly Gods. Derived from Uchiha Shisui, the Distinguished Heavenly Gods, known as the strongest illusion, have the ability to permanently change the will of a person. It can directly invade the opponent's brain and modify the opponent's will without being noticed. Turn everyone the caster sees into his puppets. Known as the strongest illusion. The only weakness is that the cooling time for releasing this ninjutsu is too long. If there is no Senju Hashirama's chakra, each release will take more than 10 years of cooling. A spinning 4-sided blade in Vegapunk's mind magnifies infinitely. 2 lines of blood and tears flowed from the corners of Zhang Yang's eyes, and the bloody eyes returned to normal. He just planted an idea in Vegapunk's mind. Always be loyal to him. Chapter 20 World Destroyer, Berndi Waldo. Who is your master? Forever loyal to you. Vegapunk was half kneeling on the ground, with reverence on his face, and fanaticism in his eyes. In the future, when other people are around, don't show it. Zhang Yang nodded in satisfaction. The distorted will of distinguished heavenly gods is a permanent pupil technique, which will not disappear just because he cancels the illusion. It's like he transformed into Garp and punched someone to death. Even if he dispelled the illusion, the person who was killed would not be resurrected. Because death and distortion of the will have become established realities. Conquering Vegapunk is a very important move. In Zhang Yang's eyes, his value is far greater than an admiral or even 4 emperors. This is a top scientist who can change the direction of the world. Just like the pioneers who developed the nuclear bomb in his previous life. They are weak in body, but they are wise men standing at the pinnacle of human wisdom. What Zhang Yang has to do is to use the resources of the world government to develop the technology tree for him. Now that Vegapunk has been subdued by him, once any major scientific research results appear in the future, they will be hidden and handed over to him. Moreover, he can let Vegapunk secretly add a few backdoors to his scientific research results. When it is critical, it may have a miraculous effect. This is not difficult for Vegapunk. Okay, I get it. The waste of the CP organization, if it weren't for Marine, Vegapunk would have run under the nose and haven't found it yet. The holy land of Mariajoy, within its brightly illuminated halls. 5 middle-aged people gathered together to discuss with each other. 5 elders, the 5 people who represent the pinnacle of world power, were once said to be the kings from the beginning of the establishment of the world government 800 years ago, the immortals who performed the immortal surgery, and have never been replaced for 100 years. Not really. 5 elders is a position, like the pinnacle of Marine's power is martial. And 5 elders is standing at the pinnacle of power in this world. They stand at the highest position of celestial dragons, and this position will be rotated every 50 years. The descendants of the 20 kings take turns. The design diagram of life is really amazing. With a mortal body, you can obtain the power comparable to devil fruit. Although it is not perfect, if you let this kind of thing spread, the foundations of world government rule will be shaken. Now that Vegapunk has been arrested, what should we do? Execution. No, since this kind of talent has fallen into our hands, the best way is to use his wisdom to serve us. Then it's decided to build an experimental base in Punk Hazard in New World and send Vegapunk there. At the same time, let Kongu send people to guard to protect Dr. Vegapunk. The funding for the experiment is directly obtained from the world government, and must meet all the needs of Vegapunk. What about the Commodore who captured Vegapunk? What reward? I heard that this young man named Augustus is the next Marine Admiral qualifier. Well, because I killed a Rear Admiral, Kong Ji-yu intends to refrigerate it for a while. It's really a rebellious character, but now is an extraordinary period. How stupid it is to freeze an admiral preliminaries for the sake of Rear Admiral. Then, the Special Order, Marshal Kong Ji-yu, awarded the rank of Rear Admiral, and ordered him to guard Punk Hazard's experimental base. Quote. I agree. Marshal Kong needs to take care of other people's ideas, but as the pinnacle of the world's power system, the 5 elders who make the rules. Their will is the rule that this world needs to implement. Not to mention just killing a dispensable Marine Rear Admiral, even killing a Vice Admiral, it's no big deal. The only ones who can really enter their eyes are those at the level of Admiral. New World, Punk Hazard. This island belonging to the world government is being extensively remodeled. August Rear Admiral, the promotion order of the headquarters has been delivered. Raquel ran over in a hurry with an excited expression. He was promoted from Commodore to Rear Admiral in such a short period of time, and it was personally chartered by the 5 elders, the highest authority in the world government. This time, his chief made a splash in the entire Marine. And you? Zhang Yang looked at one of the encouraging words on the promotion order, and the corners of his mouth raised in disdain. It's just such a torn piece of paper, why not give him something affordable? Headquarters franchise, promotion to the rank of Commodore. Not bad. Seeing Zhang Yang casually throwing the promotion order into the sea, the corner of Raquel's mouth twitched, and the excitement in his heart subsided a lot. This officer of his is really self-willed. After completing this mission, you will be able to guard a piece of Marine base. Looking at the Punk Hazard under construction, Zhang Yang is in a good mood. The G2 base he guards is very close to Gaxi Island. It is absolutely possible to win over the Rear Admirals of the surrounding Marine bases and make the waters near Gaxi Island his private kingdom. Zhang Yang is not afraid that the Rear Admiral of the Marine Division will disagree. As long as the transformation of Joshi Island is completed, it will bring him a lot of money continuously. Are there any Marines in the world who don't like money? Even if he spends money, he can still call those Marine generals his father. Rear Admiral, a pirate ship is detected behind. At this time, there was a shout from the warship. Zhang Yang frowned, observation hockey spread, and a pirate ship came into mind. This banner. His eyes became slightly dignified. World Destroyer, Berndi, Waldo, a big pirate with a bounty of 500 million, a person with Momo fruit ability. How could he appear here? Whoosh. As soon as the idea came up, a huge and exaggerated shell shot over at a fast speed. Bew. Dazzling light flickers at the fingertips. Boom. The laser beam collided with the shell and exploded instantly. A terrifying air wave blew Zhang Yang's cloak across the distance. Court death. A cold look flashed across Zhang Yang's eyes. He didn't make a move first, this guy even took the initiative to provoke him. Do you really think he is some kind of soft persimmon? Swish. There was a burst of air under his feet, and Zhang Yang turned into a golden light and appeared above the pirate ship. Berndi Waldo, with a small figure on his shoulder, looked up at the man in the sky with a ferocious smile. Damn Garp, after chasing me for so long, it's hard to get rid of my hatred if I don't kill a few Marines. Ahem, cough, Waldo, don't be impulsive. Biojack, who was sitting on Waldo's shoulder, dissuaded helplessly. Waldo directly ignored his elder brother's words. In the past few days, he was first chased by Sengoku and then Garp, and was chased like a rabbit for a week. So many brothers on the boat died, it was hard to meet a soft persimmon, and he felt that the fire in his heart would not be extinguished until he squeezed it. Although this soft persimmon looks a little bit toothache, but he is very confident in his own strength. Marine. Die. Casually spilled a bunch of thumb-sized cannonballs. Momo fruit, 100-fold increase. The thumb-sized cannonball expanded 100 times in an instant, breaking through the sound barrier at a speed. Fly into the sky. Act recklessly. A cold light flashed in Zhang Yang's eyes, his arms were opened, and bright light bullets condensed in front of him. 8-foot Chong Guyu. The overwhelming dazzling light bullets flew downwards. Cannonballs and light bullets collided, and gunpowder smoke filled the sky. A black shadow flashed before Zhang Yang's eyes, and a huge black fist fell down. Zhang Yang, who releases observation haki all the time, has a hint of sarcasm in his eyes. Quasi-admiral level strength, do you think I'm sure? Competing for power. Ah, his body was filled with blood, and a crimson blood flame ignited. 6-style derivative technique, Overlord body, 3 speeds. The frequency of the heart beating was as intense as a drum, and a bloody steam floated from Zhang Yang's red body, condensing into a blurred blood shadow behind him. The violent power spread in the body. Boom. 2 punches collide. The terrifying air wave turned into a circle of ripples, spreading unscrupulously towards the surroundings. The blood shadow behind Zhang Yang suddenly moved, and stabbed Waldo's heart with a wave. Conqueror's Ashura. This is the latest application of Conqueror's Haki developed by Zhang Yang. Conqueror's Haki integrates life return and uses blood energy as a medium to attack close-range enemies. Although the attack power is average, the advantage is that the attack is sudden. The gore pierced into Valder's chest, blocked by a layer of inky Haki. Sure enough, only quasi-admiral level. Zhang Yang took 2 steps back and had already judged Berndi Waldo's strength. With Devil Fruit, it reaches the admiral level in terms of destructive power, but is slightly inferior in speed power. Those who reach the admiral level in some aspects, but whose overall strength is not as good as the admiral level, are the so-called quasi-admiral level. A ruthless look flashed in his eyes. Guys of this level, although difficult to deal with, but can kill. In Zhang Yang's mind, a man with blonde hair, unruly, and red pupils was outlined. Dio Brando. Power spread from the body, condensing into a golden figure behind him. Stand in. World. Time stops. Chapter 21 Capability Deprivation. Waldo. Biojack watched the battle in the sky with concern. In this level of battle, no one can intervene except Berndi Valdo. Admiral level lethality, without the same strength, it will be killed if it gets close. Yes, you can attack that island and distract that marine. A thought flashed through, and Biojack suddenly noticed that the situation in the sky had changed. Waldo, who was fighting that marine, was stiff, as if bound by a force in the sky. 4 seconds. An invisible stance enveloped the sky with a radius of several hundred meters. Zhang Yang's eyes flashed, the difference in power system and strength reduced the standstill time by 1/3. Only 6 seconds left, and the strength gap between him and Waldo shortened this time again. The time pause that could have been maintained for 9 seconds, now only has 4 seconds left. What can you do in 4 seconds? In less than a second, Zhang Yang, covered in bloody flames, came in front of Berndi Waldo. The next second, Haki wrapped around his fist. In the 3rd and 4th seconds, the fist hit quickly, and it rained on Waldo. Bawang Chong 72 combos. Time stops, it's over. Zhang Yang, who had consumed more than half of his physical energy, turned pale. Puff. The terrifying power of shock superimposed and turned into a violent shock wave. Valder, who was floating in the air, flew backwards, and blood mist burst out from the chest covered by armament Haki. Zhang Yang's eyes were surrounded by circles of purple lines, and he stretched out his hand forward, holding it slightly. In the purple pupils, there is the indifference like a god. Vientian. Tianian. Puff. The flying Waldo flew back upside down, and Zhang Yang grabbed his neck with one hand. Let go of Waldo. Bang bang bang. The sound of artillery firing came from below, and amidst the deafening shelling, black shells shot towards the sky. He glanced indifferently at the pirate ship on the sea. The corners of the mouth raised undetectably. Boring trick. Shinra. Tianzheng. Hum. The shells sprayed in front of him stopped in the air rippled, and the repulsion formed a translucent wall, spreading in all directions around his body. Where the ripples swept, everything was pushed away by this force. Click, click. The terrifying repulsion, like the mighty power from the gods. Amid the horrified shouts, the pirate ship floating on the sea shattered inch by inch. Crash. Huge waves rose up from the sea surface, and the ocean under Zhang Yang's feet formed a depression area with a range of thousands of meters. In the next second, it was filled up again by the pouring seawater. Pieces of sawdust floating on the sea surface, struggling pirates, floating corpses. Isn't it good to live? I don't know if it's a sigh of pity or sarcasm. Zhang Yang's hands were stained with a layer of black ink, and thick black smoke floated from his body. Inky black matter envelops the dying Berndi Valdo. No wonder Blackbeard can devour Whitebeard's shock fruit. Zhang Yang, who had transformed the power of Blackbeard Dark Fruit, had a flash of understanding. Dark Fruit's ability, in addition to devouring damage and making the touched person lose the fruit ability, also has a very special ability. That is, fruit ability deprivation. After the Devil Fruit's ability user dies, the Devil Fruit's ability will stay in the corpse for a short time. The fruit law remaining in the corpse will slowly dissipate over time, and finally recondense into a new Devil Fruit. However, the ability user of Dark Fruit can extract the fruit power from the corpse when the demon fruit power has just died and the fruit power in the body has not dissipated, and swallow or condense it into a new fruit. Berndi Waldo's body gradually became cold, and a Devil Fruit of Paramesha condensed in Zhang Yang's hand. Paramesha, Momo Fruit, comma. The great pirate with a bounty of 500 million Baileys, world destroyer Berndi Valdo, at Punk Hazard, the gate of the New World. Killed by Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral Augustus. Naval Headquarters issued a notice, ward pirates, destroyed. That fellow Waldo, did he die so easily? On an unknown island somewhere in the New World, a tall and burly man with a strange crescent-shaped beard read the newspaper in a daze. Father, who is Waldo? The pineapple-headed boy sitting next to him asked curiously. A former rival. Whitebeard smiled nonchalantly, with a bit of embarrassment in his eyes. Looks like there's another amazing guy in Marine. Wow, Marine Rear Admiral destroyed the ward pirates, is the current Marine so powerful? At the same time, on a pirate ship that had just entered New World, Luo Jia, holding a newspaper in his hand, was yelling in surprise. How is it possible? This is just a special case. Rayleigh, clutching his forehead, expressed helplessness to himself as an incomprehensible captain. If any of Marine's rear admirals could kill a pirate of Valdo's strength, then what kind of pirates would they be? Died long ago in the Grand Line. August, this kid, can actually kill Waldo, ha ha ha, yes, he has the demeanor of the old man when he was young. In New World, on a dog-headed warship, Vice Admiral Garp almost squinted his eyes as he read the newspaper. When you were young, you didn't kill a pirate with a bounty of more than 500 million during the Rear Admiral period. Admiral Sengoku, who was on the same flight, rolled his eyes. A certain person who was almost killed by a pirate with a bounty of 200 million during the Rear Admiral period is not qualified to say that about me. Garp curled his lips. The corner of Sengoku's mouth twitched, his face darkened. Can we not mention this? I still want to hunt down pirates, so farewell. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Tell me how to reward this time. In the Marshal's office, the active Marine Marshal Kong looked uncomfortable. Headquarters Rear Admiral, killed the famous and vicious pirate Berndi Waldo, no matter from which point of view he should be happy. But the current situation gave him a headache. Killing the big pirate with a bounty of 500 million, it stands to reason that Rear Admiral's promotion to Vice Admiral is a certainty. However, here comes the problem. He was just promoted to the rank of Rear Admiral 2 days ago, and he was personally licensed by the world government 5 elders. As a result, he will be promoted to Vice Admiral in the headquarters every 2 days. This kind of thing has never happened in the history of Marine. The promotion of internal positions in Marine is not only based on strength, but also has certain qualifications. In just 1 week, he was promoted to 2 positions in a row, from Commodore to Vice Admiral. If this is the case, other established Marine Vice Admirals will not have any objections. Which one of them didn't climb up after decades of staying in this position when they were in the top position? Don't care if it's upset, jealous or something, it's him who has a headache in the end. However, it doesn't work if you don't give some performance. Killing a big pirate with a reward of 500 million, is there no other performance besides the bounty? How is it different from being a pirate hunter? Marshal Kong, the reward for destroying the ward pirates, just come as normal. Crane Vice Admiral thought for a while and said, that's what I said, but, in such a short period of time, the position has jumped 2 levels, other. If they are not convinced, let them make trouble by themselves. Crane Vice Admiral interrupted Congo with a smile. Marine is not a philanthropist, strength is the basis for determining status. If Augustus does not have this means, suffering a little loss is a test. If he can make these rebellious generals have nothing to say, that would be even better gone. Sooner or later, these things need to be dealt with. Even if he doesn't face it now, he will face it when he is promoted to admiral. As far as it's coming to you, I'm afraid you overestimated those guys. Not everyone is a Marine hero, and not everyone is a Vice Admiral Garp. Ordinary Marine Vice Admiral, dare to make trouble in front of the Marshal. Except for the old antique who was warned by Kong Ji-yu a few days ago, and kept making small moves in private, and was finally thrown into impel down. Crane Vice Admiral haven't seen another Vice Admiral with this guts. As for being upset, hold on. Do you really think the name Kong is made up? The entire naval headquarters knew how violent Kong Ji-yu was when he was young, but he has become a little more approachable since he inherited the position of Marshal. But in his heart, he is still the Kong who shows his fists when he disagrees with each other. Usually it's okay, but if you really make him anxious, even that heartless guy like Garp dare not say a word. Chapter 22 Promotion Ceremony of the Headquarters. Master Rear Admiral, capture all the remnants of the ward pirates. A group of members of the ward pirates who were salvaged from the sea are lying on the deck. Those who are alive are all elite cadres of the ward pirates. The pirates whose strength is less than 100 million rewards have all been turned into flesh under the power of Shenluo Tianzheng. Just like Waldo's big brother, Biojack. Raquel, do you want to become a demon fruit power? Zhang Yang looked at his adjutant. Raquel, who was full of excitement, was about to agree, but suddenly paused when the words came to his lips. Master Rear Admiral, there should be a price, right? Loyalty, absolute loyalty to me. Zhang Yang knocked on the armrest and looked at him. Do I have a choice? Raquel smiled wryly. When Zhang Yang threw out these words, he knew that he had only one way to go. Absolute loyalty to him, not to Marine. If you think about this sentence separately, at a small scale, it is ambitious to cultivate power. To put it more broadly, it means having rebellious thoughts. A person who distinguishes himself from Marine so cleanly can only show that he does not regard himself as Marine in his heart. In this case, if he refuses, what will happen? Looking for a reason to die in some accident. He didn't doubt at all that Lord Rear Admiral could do this. He is ruthless and will do anything to achieve his goals. You're a smart guy, and smart guys are what I like best. Zhang Yang threw the devil fruit in his hand on the deck. In fact, from the time he asked this sentence, Raquel had only one choice, and that was, to be his dog. Improper, is dead. A look of powerlessness flashed in Raquel's eyes. In this situation, he had no choice but to kneel down on one knee and pick up the devil fruit on the ground. With a puff, he took a bite. Raging power erupted in the body. Fruit's ability came to mind. Momo fruit. Recalling the previously destroyed ward pirates, Raquel's impression of Zhang Yang added a layer of mystery. How many secrets does this man hide? It seems that every time you feel like you can see through him, the power he displays is just the tip of the ice Yamanaka. Scary man. The sense of hopelessness of inner powerlessness made Raquel unable to think of resisting at all. Put these people in isolation first. Zhang Yang looked at the comatose cadre of the ward pirates. These people are still useful. If they are sent to impel down, it would be a waste of resources. Even if it can't be used by him, it's not bad to send it to Joshi Island as a coolie. He remembered that one of these cadres had the ability of demon fruit power, which seemed very suitable for being a construction worker. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye, and Punk Hazard's underground laboratory had been established. Zhang Yang's task is to protect Dr. Vegapunk's laboratory from being established. In other words, he can now report back to Naval Headquarters. But Zhang Yang was not in a hurry to go back. The headquarters has notified that after his return, he will be promoted to the rank of Vice Admiral with a ceremony of honor. But Zhang Yang wasn't in a hurry, and he wouldn't run away if the order was placed there. He's more interested in Vegapunk's lab than his promotion. Follow the secret path into the laboratory. A vast underground world came into Zhang Yang's eyes. World government's investment in this laboratory is far greater than imagined. Vegapunk in a white coat is busy in front of advanced instruments, familiar with the performance of the instruments. How do you feel about these instruments? Zhang Yang came behind Vegapunk and asked in a low voice. It's very advanced, and it's all top-notch materials. The joy that couldn't be concealed jumped out of Vegapunk's eyes. The experimental equipment here is much more advanced than the equipment in his previous laboratory. There is no scientist who doesn't like this kind of sophisticated laboratory. The kind of satellite I mentioned to you before, and the electronic computer, are you sure to research it? It should be possible, but it needs to be tried. However, the weapon called a nuclear bomb you mentioned before seems a bit elusive. Vegapunk turned serious and said, the technological level of One Piece world is roughly equivalent to that of the 19th and 20th centuries. Although electronic calculator satellites have not been developed in Pirate World, some basic crafts have appeared. But the manufacturing level of firearms still stays a long time ago. The flintlock gun appeared at least hundreds of years ago, but after a long period of time, the world government did not make much progress in the development of firearms. It may seem difficult to explain, but it is actually not difficult to understand this kind of thing. In this world where devil fruit is enough to destroy the world, the importance of firearms is difficult for ordinary people to realize. As long as there is a strong person with some strength, the musket is almost equal to zero threat to them. The powerful armament hockey, even if he is shot by thousands of muskets at close range, he will not suffer any damage, unless the bullets are armed with the power of color. In the context of this great era, few people think about developing firearms. For the kind of nuclear bomb that Zhang Yang mentioned, when a single nuclear bomb goes down, dozens of kilometers in a radius will be flattened and there will be no grass or grass. It is called a nuclear bomb weapon. Vegapunk has some doubts in his heart. The development of firearms has come to an end. Will there really be such lethality comparable to admiral-level combat power? This seems to be somewhat different from his long-standing insistence on the fusion of biological genes and machinery. Although I have some doubts in my heart, this does not prevent Vegapunk from experimenting again and again according to Zhang Yang's philosophy. Zhang Yang's will is above all else in him. I stayed in Vegapunk's laboratory for a week, and discussed with him about the development of firearms, the principles of electronic calculators, and the role of some high-tech technologies such as mobile phones, monitors, bugging devices, and satellites. He only had a general impression of these things. So Zhang Yang directly turned into Tony Stark, and with his sensitivity to machinery and intelligence, he provided a lot of constructive advice to Vegapunk who encountered difficulties. As for whether it is useful, it depends on Vegapunk's own wisdom. After all, even if he turned into Tony Stark, he would not be able to inherit Tony Stark's knowledge. What he turned into was only his keen scientific intuition. If he wants to become a great scientist like Vegapunk, he needs to supplement his basic physics knowledge first. I exchanged tasks with Vice Admiral, who came to take over. The warship left New World and headed for Naval Headquarters Marineford. And in the headquarters, a grand promotion and honor ceremony is under preparation. The Vice Admiral in this department is different from the Rear Admiral. After being promoted to Vice Admiral, it is almost considered to have stepped into the high-level decision-making of Marine. Any thought may affect Marine's future. When Zhang Yang was promoted to Rear Admiral, he only got a paper award because of the task in hand, but now he can't be so casually promoted to Vice Admiral. In addition to Admiral and Marshal, Vice Admiral is the face of Marine. It can be said that if Admiral is the top combat power of Marine to shock the world. The dozens of Vice Admirals in the headquarters represent the core of Marine's maintenance of order in the world. Every time a Vice Admiral appears, it is equivalent to adding a bit of Marine's strength, and the Vice Admiral's promotion ceremony is naturally impossible to be too casual. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Countless reporters from all over the world gathered together, and all the generals and officials of the headquarters were present except those who were unable to escape due to important tasks. Such a large-scale formation has rarely occurred in the past few decades. The last time Kong was promoted to Marshal, Sengoku and Zephyr were promoted to Admiral, and the last time was the destruction of the Sea Overlord Cross Pirates. Vice Admiral Garp won the title of Marine Hero. But this time, it was only for one Vice Admiral and several Rear Admirals. It seems exaggerated, even a bit of a fuss. In fact, the Marshal had his own considerations for this honor ceremony, which was to let a group of capable generals of the headquarters stand out in the world in the Grand Line. But the more important reason is to show the strength of Marine to those restless forces in the world. Let them know that Naval Headquarters is not dead yet. Of course, it may not mean that Zhang Yang is valued. The 40-year-old age group is the peak period of personal strength. At that time, the physical fitness will reach a peak, which lasts for nearly 10 years, and then gradually declines with time. A strong man with quasi-admiral strength at the age of less than 20, who else in the world will be his opponent in another 20 years? Even if Whitebeard has been dubbed the strongest in the world by New World, can he do it at the same age? Naval Headquarters cannot be overemphasized. The Vice Admiral of the headquarters, who is less than 20 years old, has broken the record of the youngest Vice Admiral in the history of Marine, right? Being able to defeat Berndi Waldo, at such a young age, already has a combat power comparable to that of Admiral. In another 20 years, who else will be his opponent in this sea? Chapter 23 Headquarters Vice Admiral, Black Owl. The warship slowly sailed into the headquarters, Marineford. Zhang Yang, who got off the boat, looked at the crowded naval headquarters and was speechless inwardly. In any case, the lineup in front of me seems a bit too exaggerated. Hundreds of journalists from all over the world and dozens of vice admirals from the headquarters gathered. The award ceremony was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Zhang Yang first went to the marshal's office to hand over the task, and then went to the logistics department to receive a brand new vice admiral uniform. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the Marine staff who were in charge of arranging the venue left. Reporters from all over the country and naval headquarters generals came to the scene one by one. In the cliched opening speech, the marshal held his lines empty, like an old leader, thanking the world government and Marine for his cultivation, and he chanted like this for about half an hour. After the speech, the honor ceremony officially began. On the stage, Zhang Yang stood in a row with 5 people. There were 6 people promoted in this honor ceremony, 5 commodores were promoted to Rear Admiral, and 1 Rear Admiral was promoted to Vice Admiral. Marshal Kong put the medal on everyone's chest in turn. Then there are several awards for being promoted to generals. Promotion speeches. The Rear Admirals were quite excited, looking as if they would swear their allegiance to Marine with all their heart and soul. Zhang Yang didn't feel anything, but was threatened by Marshal Kong's eyes of eating people, Kamui, and he had to give face, so he said a few words that all the pirates who endangered the world must be captured and sent to impel down. After the intense applause, Zhang Yang, who had been working as the background board for half an hour, was finally relieved. Then there was the interview session that we like to hear and see. Several reporters began to ask questions, and Marshal Kong answered them one by one. These things are all scripts planned in advance, and nothing went wrong. On such an important day, no one dared not to take a long look and make some big news or something. Otherwise, I am afraid that it will be torn apart by Marine present here in minutes. I don't feel well. Garp's gloating voice rang in his ears. It was the same when first got the Marine Hero medal. With his nose buckled, Garp's imageless appearance makes it impossible to think of his identity as the famous Marine hero. The crane next to him, Vice Admiral, smiled brightly, resisting the urge to slap him to death in front of a bunch of memories. Have you figured out your name yet? Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral has its own title. Like Marine Hero Garp, Buddha Sengoku, Kong, Future Aokiji, Akainu, Kizaru, Dragon. Now that Zhang Yang has been promoted to Vice Admiral, he naturally needs a title of his own. If you think about it, call Black Owl. The owl is a vicious bird, vicious and domineering. Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, Augustus, was honored as Vice Admiral yesterday. Name: Black Owl. Has Augustus become Vice Admiral? In the Marine training camp, looking at today's newspaper, Dorag muttered to himself. I'm going to try harder too. Put down the newspaper in your hand. Drago, who has just mastered observation hockey, puts himself into new training again. Black Owl, Augustus. Sakazuki had a gloomy face, with no expression of joy or anger. But the next training was even harder than before. The defeated general who was once unable to catch even a single punch from him has left them far behind. To be ridden on the head by a trash. This made Sakazuki, who was naturally proud, feel unbearable. That guy can kill the pirate with a bounty of 500 million, so can he Sakazuki. It's terrible. It's been thrown so far away. Even Pelusolino, who has been dawdling in troubled waters for a long time, couldn't help feeling a sense of urgency deep in his heart. To be left so far behind by a peer. Is he Pelusolino shameless? Not to mention coming from behind. At least it can't be left too far behind. Looking at a group of double-trained students, Zephyr Admiral sighed and shook his head. Sure enough, the only ones who can make a group of geniuses work hard are even more evil geniuses than them. How far can he, the most outstanding student, go in the end? The day after he was promoted to Vice Admiral, Zhang Yang rushed to the G2 branch. Now he has become the highest officer of the G2 branch. At the same time, it is also the highest command of the 12 nearby marine sub-bases. The duty of Vice Admiral is to suppress the tranquility of a piece of sea area. It can be said that unless Admiral or the Marshal of Naval Headquarters comes in person. Otherwise, all marines, islands, and towns in this sea area belong to his jurisdiction. In ancient China, it was the Minister of Border Control on the Musho side. Feng who worships the Prime Minister. The scope of the G2 branch also happened to include Gaxi Island and its surrounding waters. I don't know how the construction of Joshi Island is going. It had been nearly 3 months since he had last left Gaxi. Calculating the time, Joxi Island should have almost been built. But before that, he needs to go to his own branch first, and visit the internal situation of the 12 sub-bases by the way. After all, these people are also his nominal subordinates. Although he is a nominal subordinate, for a person like him who has a strong desire to control, no one who disobeys him is allowed within his territory. In the G2 branch, the previous Marine General who only guarded this place was a headquarters Rear Admiral. The Naval Headquarters, Rear Admiral took all his cronies with him when he was transferred. In today's G2 branch, there are only more than 200 Marines left to maintain the normal operation of the base. It's really rotten. Before the warship entered the G2 branch, Zhang Yang, who sensed the situation inside the base through observation hockey, couldn't help but snort coldly. When the warship landed, there was not even a Marine in charge of guarding the pier. If we were pirates, this base would have fallen by now. Raquel. Zhang Yang snorted coldly, and Raquel immediately led people into the Marine base. It didn't take long for a group of messy Marines to be driven out. Followed by a group of bewildered women. Report to Vice Admiral, the Black Lord. The internal guards of the G2 branch gathered people to gamble during their work. They violated the regulations and brought women into the branch without authorization. Please give instructions. Black Owl Vice Admiral, is this the newly appointed branch chief? Didn't it just bring women into the G2 branch? What's the fuss about? A few Marines who were being detained murmured with dissatisfaction on their faces. Looking at the school officials who were eccentric and lifeless, a cold smile appeared on the corner of Zhang Yang's mouth. The accomplice is temporarily detained, and will be sent to the headquarters tomorrow, where he will be held in the Marine prison, and the principal criminal will be executed on the spot. Wait. Isn't it just bringing women into the branch, gathering people to gamble? The crime is not deadly, you can't kill us. I am the colonel of the headquarters, you are not qualified to execute me. Bringing a woman into the branch is indeed not a sin to death, but are you just bringing women into the branch? Zhang Yang walked forward unhurriedly. He came to a woman in plain clothes, with tears in her eyes, who looked flustered. Are you AW**re? No, I'm not. I'm an island resident. Then why are you here? Zhang Yang cast a glance at the colonel whose expression changed drastically, and he looked very guilty. Yes, they brought me here. The woman looked at Zhang Yang, hesitated for a moment, and gritted her teeth. You woman, don't talk nonsense. The colonel, whose face changed wildly, struggled and wanted to pounce on the woman's mouth. Bew. A flash of golden light pierced the colonel's head. Did I let you talk? Zhang Yang narrowed his eyes slightly, and his gaze swept over the faces of a group of shocked and hopeful women. Looting civilians, in accordance with the marine law, the death penalty, executed immediately. Yes, Lord Vice Admiral. Raquel gave a military salute. A group of Marines who committed crimes were pulled to the seaside. Amidst a burst of begging for mercy, gunshots rang out. From now on, I don't want to see anything like this happen in this base. His eyes swept across a group of pale-faced Marines. Now that he has taken over the Marine base, from now on, it must follow his rules. Those who disobey will be killed without mercy. And his first thing is to establish a rule. What he needed was a group of soldiers who obeyed orders, not a group of pirates who ran amok. From today onwards, you all have to remember one rule for me, that is. Any word I say, you must obey unconditionally, and you will end up disobeying me. I don't think you want to see it a second time. Chapter 24 Gaxi Island. After tidying up the group of soldiers in the G2 branch, Zhang Yang spent 3 days visiting the top officials of other marine branches around. The interior of Marine is very chaotic and complicated, with many factions. These rear admirals more or less have their own background behind them. But in the face of Vice Admiral, a black owl who has become a high-level Marine at a young age, few people dare to shake their faces. Even if you feel upset, you can only hold back. If nothing else, this guy is already booked as the future admiral at Naval Headquarters. At least 3 to 5 years, as many as 10 years. This guy can climb to the top and become a representative of the pinnacle of marine power, and this glory can last at least 30 years. If you offend him at this time, you will be revenged in the future. Marine Admiral wants to kill a rear admiral in the headquarters, isn't that just a casual thing? Not to mention, this guy is famous for his revenge. Vice Admiral, these people seem to be perfunctory. Raquel was a little puzzled. This Master Vice Admiral is a typical master who does not see the rabbit and does not throw the eagle, and has a strong desire to control. Today I met with 3 Marine rear admirals. Although each of them is very enthusiastic on the surface, in fact, once they talk about business, they immediately talk about him. There was a thumping sound on his chest, and he didn't make any promises until the last minute. Based on his understanding of Mr. Vice Admiral, it shouldn't be so easy to compromise. Perfunctory. Of course it's perfunctory. Each of these guys has their own background behind them. It's not that simple to ask them to help me honestly. Giving enough face is the most basic respect for the boss. Not everyone pre-selects admiral. Commodore dared to kill a rear admiral and made the veteran vice admiral kneel down. Without this strength, you can only be a low-key person. But face is all about face. Zhang Yang knows exactly what these guys are thinking. These guys are good at making money, but let them fight with the pirates and run faster than anyone else. They usually talk to you in a humble manner, but once something threatens their interests, these guys can change their faces immediately. The typical ones are dog faces. If you want them to be obedient, you need to use some tricks. The corners of Zhang Yang's mouth raised slightly. It was still a long time. He had plenty of time to play with these people. Intimidate. Incentives. As long as they are human beings, they have weaknesses. If they are vulnerable, are they afraid that these people will not be used by him? How is your hockey mastering? Zhang Yang glanced at his adjutant. It will take a long time to fully master two kinds of hockey. Raquel lowered his head, a little ashamed. I plan to send you to the elite training camp to practice again. Zhang Yang looked at Raquel, an ability user of Momo fruit, whose growth potential was at least quasi-admiral level. Naturally, it was impossible for him to stay by his side and waste this kind of person. So, he decided to send Raquel to an elite training camp. Show general strength first, and then find a chance to eat a devil fruit, accidentally. Momo fruit. Stand out from a group of marine elite. If you are lucky and can be reused, maybe it will be the next admiral pre-selection. Even if the performance is not good, at least he can get a position in vice admiral. It's the equivalent of another nail he's planted in naval headquarters. It might work wonders in the future. Of course, in this case, in order to avoid Raquel's identity being exposed, he will try not to expose the means by which he can deprive others of their devil fruit's ability in front of others. Otherwise, Momo fruit, the ability deprivation, and he killed Berndi Waldo, others can easily guess that Raquel's fruit ability has something to do with him. However, before that, he still needs to leave a little behind. Use your memory. Before he could react, Raquel's head was held down by Zhang Yang. On the forehead, a dark eye opened silently. Memory fruit. Memory tampering. Zhang Yang directly erased Raquel's loyalty to Marine, and deleted the hatred of his parents who died of pirates in his memory to die of Marine disguised as a pirate. Instilling his identity as a revolutionary fighter loyal to the Revolutionary Army, in order to overthrow the great cause of the world government, he did not hesitate to disguise his identity and hatred to join Marine. The ability to remember fruit is simple and crude. The reason why Zhang Yang didn't use it on Vegapunk before is because this ability has flaws. Fabricated memories are fake after all, and if the loopholes are too large, they may be discovered, especially by scientists with superhuman intelligence like Vegapunk. A little memory hole can make him vigilant and analyze the truth. This is the fundamental difference between the memory fruit ability and the distinguished heavenly gods. People who are not controlled by the distinguished heavenly gods will never find out the fact that they are being manipulated, but the memory fruit will. Moreover, Zhang Yang even suspected that if the willpower was too strong, he might be able to break free from the shackles of the fruit of memory. To be on the safe side, he casts distinguished heavenly gods on Vegapunk. But on Raquel, the memory fruit is enough. Raquel, the adjutant of the Black Owl Vice Admiral, applied to participate in the elite training camp. Marshal Kong looked at the application letter in his hand with a strange expression on his face. What's the reason? It's different from Vice Admiral's philosophy. Crane Vice Admiral was taken aback for a moment, thinking differently. It's written in the application letter that I don't like He Xiao's rebellious character, so I want to be transferred. Kong Ji Yu shrugged. What do you think? There shouldn't be any problem with differences in personalities. The Black Owl Vice Admiral's personality is indeed a bit, aloof. Crane Vice Admiral's face was a little embarrassed. Zhang Yang's temper, saying that he was aloof was just a compliment. That's really a stubborn donkey temper. Allow it. Kong Ji Yu was not entangled in this kind of thing, it was just a Commodore application. There are also 1 or 2 students in the elite training camp. Joshi Island, in the Black Palace on the central square. How are you doing with what I ordered you? With a half-face mask on his face and a black leather trench coat, Zhang Yang sits on the throne. Cashew and the N***** are knelt under the steps on one left and one on the right. Collecting orphans under 10 years old, 500 people have been found so far. The N***** are said respectfully. As the first batch of pirates captured by Zhang Yang, they all know Zhang Yang's true identity very well. He also knew that the man in front of him was Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, the Black Owl who had caused a lot of trouble some time ago. Even though his strength was no longer higher than usual, deep down in his heart, he couldn't even think of betrayal at all. Continue. The money is not a problem, but it must be kept secret. Try not to let people find out, and then send someone to contact the people who are close to the Marine base Rear Admiral around Gaxi Island in private, win them over, and then inquire about the secret information. Zhang Yang rubbed his chin. He was quite satisfied with the performance of these 2 subordinates. Just now, he has reprogrammed a memory of all the people who know his identity on Gaxi Island. Among the people on this island, only these 2 people in front of him know his identity. Others only had the impression of the Black Emperor, the master of Joxi Island, and the loyal servant of the Black Emperor. He doesn't need these people to know his identity. To him, the most valuable thing in these people is obedience. Card Shu and N asterisk 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 are special, because he needs these two guys to help him do some things, so he will keep part of their memories. If you want to develop a power, relying on coercion and temptation is not a perfect method. He needs to cultivate some cronies who can absolutely be trusted. Similarly, he also needs to cultivate some espionage organizations similar to the CP department. He wants to spread his tentacles to every corner of the world. And this requires a lot of money and time. Therefore, he will start the layout from now on. Collect some orphans and carry out brainwashing education and systematic force training since childhood. 10 or 20 years later, these children will be the cornerstone of his world government. I don't know when Vegapunk will be able to research what I want. Spy satellites, bugs. If you want to win a war, the most important thing is the advantage in information. Zhang Yang sighed. Although he had great confidence in Vegapunk's wisdom, it was a bit unrealistic to think of researching what he wanted so quickly. How is the construction of Galaxy Island going? Thanks to the group of people you sent earlier, the construction of the 24 basic blocks is now almost complete. The number of merchants who settled in is increasing every day. Casinos, information, slaves, assassination markets, and black market transactions have a large amount. The cumulative income in the past 3 months has exceeded 1 billion Bailey. Chapter 25 Goal, Sky Island. This kind of income is barely okay. Zhang Yang is not very satisfied. There are only 1 billion Baileys in 3 months. To be honest, this kind of efficiency is very slow. It was far from what he expected. Cultivating talents, collecting devil fruit, and buying and managing those marine generals all need money. 1 billion Baileys may seem like a lot, but in fact, they are not spent at all. However, considering that the construction of Joshi Island has just been completed and has not yet set foot on the right track, this result is not unacceptable. Today, the name of Galaxy Island has gradually been branded out. In the name of order and lawlessness, it continues to ferment and slowly expand among pirates and some special circles. Although a lot of unscrupulous businessmen were left during the observation period, they were clearly attracted by this place where order and chaos coexist, and the future prosperity of Galaxy Island can already be expected. Before long, this place will bring him huge profits every day. Although money is not attractive to him, it does not mean that it is of no value to others. Marine executives, powerful figures in the world government, and even celestial dragons. With enough Baileys, he can turn these people into his most loyal dogs. Don't think that celestial dragons, the nobles of the world, are not short of money. The honor of celestial dragons comes from their titles. But how rich are they? The original 20 celestial dragons clans, in addition to the delisted Nefertiti clan, there are also 19 clans. After 800 years of reproduction, how many people are there in each clan? No matter how rich the world government is, it is impossible for them to corrupt at will. Compared with ancient China, a unified emperor would worry about money, not to mention the 20 emperor families in the world government, countless relatives of the emperor, these are the princes and princes one by one. The world government can give them a rich life, but it is impossible for them to spend recklessly. As long as the 5 elders had brains, they wouldn't do such a thing. Therefore, many celestial dragons are very short of money. Those who are very rich in paradise for ordinary people may be a kind of poor and miserable life for celestial dragons. Coupled with being raised like pigs, the custom of inbreeding is serious, and the IQ of many celestial dragons is usually relatively low. As long as the money is enough, it's no joke to treat them like dogs. Although it has the bug-like ability of memory fruit, devil fruit is not a panacea. Who knows if there will be any devil fruit in this world that can just restrain the ability of memory fruit. So, just in case, Zhang Yang prefers to buy people's hearts with simple and crude things like money. What can be solved with money? Why use brains? The cultivation of the Black Emperor Guard is on the agenda, and I will give you some suggestions for the detailed plan. Zhang Yang looked at Kasho at the bottom of the steps. As a citizen of the Night Kingdom of Gul'dan, Kasho had received rigorous night training since he was a child. Whether it is will training or physical training, there are special methods and rich experience. The training of these orphans is most suitable for him. However, what he needs is not a group of knights who are as hard-headed as Kasho, so the specific training method needs to be changed. All orphans receive 2 hours of ideological education every day, instilling the concept of loyalty. Some of them focus on the cultivation of combat power. This group of students needs to learn and master the 6 styles of Grandmaster, Haki, Physique, and Sword skills. A small part of them also need to take devil fruit. The other part acts as civilian staff, and the specific division of labor is spies, intelligence collection, management personnel. For the group of orphans whose main focus is combat power, Zhang Yang will find ways to find top experts in all aspects to teach them personally, and classify them according to their talents. The group of orphans who are mainly spies also need professionals from various industries to teach them, so that they are familiar with the rules of each industry, so that it is easier to disguise. In comparison, talents in various professions are undoubtedly easier to find than the first type. After 10 years of continuous training, he will get a group of loyal and strong believers. With the ICC wind blowing in the face, a warship headed towards the Grand Line. How far is it to Gaia Island? Looking at the boundless ocean, Zhang Yang's eyes were slightly agitated. The sea is vast and full of strange beauty. When I first saw this beautiful picture, I still thought it was very interesting and novel. But if you look at it for a long time, you will feel aesthetic fatigue. Zhang Yang feels this way now. At a glance, the sea and the sky are all a piece of blue, and a group of silly birds are flying aimlessly in the sky. He almost vomited seeing this picture. Black Owl Vice Admiral, there are still 3 hours before reaching Gaia Island. The former second mate, now promoted to first mate, the vice captain reported with a serious face. 3 hours. Zhang Yang nodded and looked up at the sky. He left the area he guarded this time to find Gaia Island. No, it should be said that it is the other half of Gaia Island that was washed up. His goal this time is Sky Island. The land of gold. Zhang Yang squinted his eyes. He is not the kind of fool who reminisces about history, and he is not very interested in the so-called historical text, and he has already known what the historical text on Sky Island is. It's nothing more than a group of self-proclaimed nonsense, plus the whereabouts of the ancient weapon Sea Emperor. But in this period, the cute little Sea Emperor seems to have not been born yet, so this piece of historical text is useless. His purpose this time is very simple. There are only 3, one is for the land of gold. That ancient city made of gold piled up, the value of gold contained in it is at least tens of billions, which is very attractive to him who is in urgent need of Bailey. That's the main reason he went to Sky Island. And the second purpose is for Thunder Fruit, which claims to be the strongest Logia Devil fruit. In the years to come, a silly child named Enel will eat that fruit, drive away the previous generation of gods, and proclaim himself a god. According to the timeline, the current Enel should have just been born, and the devil fruit on the Sky Island should not have been taken by him yet. As for why it is so certain that the Thunder Fruit is on this island. Because Sky Island is isolated from the Earth, and devil fruit will only respawn after the user dies. Zhang Yang searched the records of Marine, but did not find any Thunder Fruit capable users in recent decades. Therefore, since Enel can become a Thunder Fruit capable user in the future, it means that before he eats the fruit, there is a 90% chance that the fruit will be hidden somewhere on Sky Island. Obtaining this fruit means that he has another top admiral hole card in his hand in the future. In addition to these 2 purposes, Zhang Yang's third purpose is the special shellfish of Sky Island. Slash shells, shock shells, water shells, light shells. Numerous shellfish with different functions. If used in combat, the effect is even better than the current marine standard flintlock. Moreover, the people on Sky Island are also a resource he can use. There are people, money, and equipment, which is why he will be eyeing Sky Island. For someone like him who wants to rebel against the world government, the existence of Sky Island is simply a gift bag that can be easily obtained. With his current strength, the entire Sky Island is almost like being defenseless to him. Black Owl Vice Admiral, Gaia Island has arrived. A dilapidated island appeared in front of him. Zhang Yang looked up at the sky, and the web of knowledge and knowledge spread infinitely. Above the sky tens of thousands of meters apart, a looming island can be vaguely perceived. Click. The surrounding metal condensed into a disc under the feet, holding Zhang Yang's body to float upwards. You guys, wait for me here. The extremely fast disc lifted Zhang Yang's body up rapidly. As the altitude increased, the surrounding air gradually became thinner. Zhang Yang frowned, feeling a sense of weakness emerging from his body. For those who have not lived on Sky Island, arriving in Kakai for the first time can be a feeling of general weakness. The chi and blood fluctuated, and the weakness disappeared in the next second. In a trance, the body seemed to break through a layer of barriers, and the illusory clouds became a semi-solid entity. The altitude rises to 7,000 meters and comes to the White Sea, which is very close to Sky Island. With the spread of knowledge and information, the complete appearance of the entire Sky Island can already be found. With the improvement of strength, the control of Devil Fruit's ability and the deeper development, it seems that the limitation that the magic fruit can only transform one person seems to be beginning to disintegrate. Although there is still a little way to go before the ability to completely transform 2 people, this is indeed a good sign. At least, he can now use some of Enel's fruit abilities while transforming into Magneto. Zhang Yang controlled the disc to continue to rise, reaching a height of 10,000 meters and reaching Beibai High. Sky Island, far away.